Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
All right.
But no James Farley, I'm afraid. He can't be here this week because he is busy. Let's get straight into the Full Nels crew, shall we? The Full Nels crew. Listen to these names. Remember them.
Write them
because
down.
They are going down as legend. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, Graham Mackay, Rocketman76, My Dog Skip, Rex Reese, Matt Murray is my favourite podcaster, and Matt Morley's brother Mike. They are the Full Nels crew. Still make me laugh.
It's still
make
funny.
me laugh.
It is.
Yeah,
it's funny.
it is still funny. And hopefully it'll be funny next month. Hey, Sean. If you would like to support, there's no pressure. If you would like to support us, then please go to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers with live shows. We've just put out our August bonus pod, which was a good one, I thought. I thought it was a good one. Very chilled.
It's very, very
more
chilled,
of a catch-up in each other's lives. Finding out that Matt didn't know what a theme park was was quite a surprise.
That's not true. That's
well,
it's
you
not
seem
not true.
surprised by everything that happened in the theme park. I'll leave it
Not
at that.
everything, not everything. I haven't been. I think it's also I haven't been out of the house for. It doesn't matter.
And being furious with animals for not giving you the
not
time of
performing.
your life yet.
Not entertaining him sufficiently.
Fuck those animals for having free will and even reduced free will. You know that wasn't
still
enough
too
for
much.
That.
Still too much.
What I'm saying
Too
is,
much
if they'd
will.
done a bit more, we could have had a lovely day. As it was, some of them didn't. Some of them didn't turn up. Basically,
The thing is,
Someone
the
didn't
thing is
put
with
the effort in.
zoos, right? Is you see the old fellas who have the massive cameras with the stupid telephoto lenses on them,
I
and
saw a lot of
initially
those.
you're like, oh my god, who's
That's
this?
Sean Bell.
That's me.
Oh, no, sorry. Initially, you're like, what?
Initially, you're just like, oh Jesus, who's this guy think he is? And then after about 3 or 4 visits, you're like, to be fair, some days that's the only way you're going to see any animals.
That's true. Yeah, but have you ever seen? Right, okay. Can I talk about this? But no, I can ask it as a question about
Oh
something
my
that
God.
I've not experienced.
Okay.
Have you ever experienced someone with those massive lenses at a child's party before?
No.
Birthday party?
Oh my goodness.
There's
Well, how
That's
far
very
away
weird.
were they from the child's party?
Oh, they were right in the room, baby. They were a parent. I mean, in this
Someone's
I was
just
gonna
trying to
say,
show
them
off
being
now,
in the
aren't
room
they?
is-
situation.
Them being
They're
in the
just
room
trying
is
to show off.
better, right? Rather than long
Oh,
lensing them from across
100%.
the
If
street.
they were outside in the bushes, you're
Yeah.
calling the police.
Or
Yeah.
outside in the car. Like, what's
Yeah.
that guy doing? I was a parent. Oh, is it?
All right, okay.
No, like
let's go on to
at
feet.
any kid's party, there's always one parent who has to show off with their incredible camera and like,
Yeah,
look,
yeah, totally.
me,
have
me,
you got a
but-
phone, mate?
me.
What the hell? What the fuck's this?
My favourite story from taking the kids to a birthday party was when Spider-Man lost it with the kids. Did I ever tell you that one?
No.
We were sitting down
Peter
and they'd
Parker.
they hired a Spider-Man to come out, and he was playing games with the kids, and they were doing really well. I mean, they were quite young. They must have been 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And they were doing all the games, and it was all going well. And then, I was thinking the games bit is going on a bit long. He's going to lose their attention in a bit, And then he chose that point to do the most complicated birthday party game that I've ever seen in my life. It was like he was laying cones out and he was like, so when you go to this cone you've got to crawl, and then when you go to this cone you've got to jump over these and go left right and the kids, while he's explaining it, the kids were just talking, right, because they'd had enough. They all wanted their cake and that. And then by the time he said go, they all just started screaming and running around the hall. And Spider-Man picked up the cones and went, forget it, no one gets a prize, then no one gets a prize.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, going to
the
kids' parties,
parents
I'm often like kind of in awe of the good ones, at least. I'm often in awe of how they can command the room and the enthusiasm and how well it works. But when someone's the other end of the scale like that, like, you know what, fuck it. You're like, well,
If you're not going to play
you're supposed to
properly,
take it.
you can be...
What
Like
was
if that
even
was
better
like if
I
that
got-
was any of us, and you'd tried to do something like that, and then that happens, kids just run around screaming. You just think like, yeah, do you know what? That was inevitable, wasn't it? Never mind.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, Sean, I've been in that situation when I dressed
yeah.
up as Batman
Yeah.
for my niece's birthday party.
Yeah.
And I walked in and said, "Hey, kids, I'm Batman." And they started booing. They started booing me, Sean. And I was like, "You don't boo Batman." And one of the kids went, "We like Joker." I was like,
Oh, okay.
"Oh, he's the bad guy." No, not okay, Sean. Don't defend him.
It's
fucking embarrassing.
Generation Z, mate. The fucking it's all gone topsy turvy now. Batman's a fascist. Joker's, they made that film where Joker's the main character. It's all I don't understand it, mate. It's like,
I still think the worst thing about that was how my sister turned around and said, "Look, it was ridiculous to pay for an entertainer. We will spend half the amount that we would have spent on an entertainer on the best Batman costume we can get hold of." Of course, by the time it gets there and they're thinking, actually, let's save a little bit more money and get it from eBay, the most ridiculous Batman costume you've ever seen. I couldn't even look through the eye holes because the mask didn't fit right. Ridiculous. I'll have to post the video at some point of me showing my sister. She agreed that the mask was ridiculous, so she ordered me a proper one, in her words, but it was just another one from eBay, and it was even worse. You've got to see this video. It's not. I'll send it to you. It's funny. Anyway, right, that was a bit of a tangent.
Where are we?
Where are we? We're doing a podcast about video games, apparently. Matt, let's get the feedback to last week's show.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't on last week's show.
God,
I was away.
You weren't, were you? Jesus Christ, that seems like ages ago now.
It does. Right, I've had 2 weeks off
Blake
work
was
and
on.
1 week off the podcast, and I literally don't know what day it is. And I feel a bit under the weather. It's like everything's just gone topsy turvy.
Did you take notes from last week's show?
I did. I listened to the show.
Good.
I thought you did great. Blake, it's obviously it's not his main job.
Tried his best, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
There was some.
He tried his bloody hardest.
I've got a lot of tips for Blake, but we can't be here all day because it will be a long pod. But no, first bone to pick really is with Blake. I mean, I actually think Blake would play and should play Jar Jar. I know Blake said he wouldn't, but actually, surely you would. You'll be part of the stuff. I mean, even like. Okay, no, I've got a lot of thoughts about this, right? Yeah, so first of all, you'll be part of Star Wars. Like, that's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, surely, no matter how good or bad the thing is. Secondly, right, Jar Jar, can either of you two name the person who played Jar Jar Binks in episode 1?
No,
exactly. Right, so it doesn't matter. Even if whoever did the voice for that one that people hated, like, no one can name it.
It doesn't matter.
No, what I'm saying
What's
is like...
that got to do with anything? It's just a nasty dig at the original actor.
No, because
just
what I'm
vicious.
saying is... People hated Jar Jar Binks in episode 1, but people don't even know the person who played it. So I think with this one, much more likely to be a better.
Are you telling me that no one knows the name of the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, or just three blokes on this podcast don't know the name?
I'm saying
because there's a big difference.
It isn't someone like everyone can say, "Oh, Jar Jar Binks is rubbish." No one can say, "Well, the person playing Jar Jar Binks, how embarrassing for them."
No one can say that. No one
I'm
can
sure
say
some
that.
people can, but it's not. I don't think it's common knowledge. And obviously, we get feedback saying, "Well, actually, it is Trevor Simon, and you're a wanker."
People know who played like one of the bloody stormtroopers in the background of scenes and stuff like that. I think it is common knowledge.
That was Daniel Craig or something.
Yeah, no, but there's a difference between
what I'm saying.
There's a difference between anyone could look it up and everyone knows. Like the kid who played like young Anakin, Jake. What was his name? Like literally had his fucking life ruined. Literally had his life ruined by it. Whereas the guy who played Jar Jar Binks got away relatively unscathed. He's probably in some. I bet he's in some prestige drama. That he's probably in The Wire or something. And we're all like, "Oh yeah, he's fucking brilliant."
Actually, you're definitely barking up the wrong tree here because James told me that he took it really badly.
Did he?
That
okay.
actor. Yeah, you're probably going down the wrong route here.
Okay, right.
All right.
Well, maybe I'm wrong there. Right. The second point of that is, I never would have thought that I was like a Jamaican accent on Jar Jar. Am I being mad? Like he's got like a weird voice.
I mean, he's a Gungan. He's speaking.
But I never would have said
Gungan slang.
Jamaican,
But
like
it's...
Mr. Jar Jar Binks. Like
there was the association when the film came out. There's news stories about and discussions whether it was racist or not. Definitely, and that was back then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What I'm saying is,
you know,
I think if it's done today, the voice would probably be different. And I think Blake needs to really rethink. I might talk to his agent.
Do you know what, Sean?
I think he needs to do it.
You've made your point. You made your point, Matt. Right, but Sean.
Yep.
When Matt lost the bet about the next gen console stuff, and then he kicked off and went, okay, you can kind of look at that and go, I get it. He was wrong, but he's going for the grey area argument.
Mm-hmm.
In this bet that we had about whether Blake would or would not take that role, Blake himself literally said last week, I wouldn't take that role. And Matt's going, no, it doesn't count because I think he would actually.
It doesn't count. I'm just saying, if he actually got a call from his agent saying, do you want to be part of Star Wars? I mean...
So you're saying he's lying?
What I'm saying he's lying?
So you're basically
he's lying.
So you're saying, Matt, if you got that phone call and it was explained to you, there was a good chance that people would think you were a racist as a result of accepting it.
Well, no, because I think they would read. I don't think there would be the perception that Jar Jar was racist.
Okay,
not that Jar Jar is, that you are for taking the part and for portraying him.
I don't know. Well, I guess
no one cares. Jar Jar might as well be racist. Everyone hates him anyway. That's not the point.
Matt, you're questioning it yourself now, but you've got nothing to lose. Like, Blake has a whole body of work that could be damaged by doing that.
Yeah,
do you not see the difference?
Yeah, I what I'm saying is, imagine being part of Star Wars.
Right, okay, that's the ultimate point.
Case closed.
I should say, so Ahmed Best, who's the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, he must have come to terms with it because he continued to play Jar Jar. Like, he voiced him in loads of other things, games and cartoons, TV shows. He was also in The Last of Us 2.
Was he really? Was Jar Jar Binks in The Last of Us 2?
Just says various voices. So
okay,
like
right, one of the ones going, oh no, Karen,
Steve,
yeah. Brian.
Yeah, I've just googled it now. Yeah, basically, racist stereotype with a misplaced Caribbean accent. Okay, well,
yeah.
What I'm saying is maybe they'll do something about that and imagine me in part of Star Wars. Okay, what next bit of feedback?
It was also in a film called Some Guy Who Kills People.
I've got a feeling that this podcast is coming out on Wednesday, and then Thursday it's getting announced that Blake is playing Jar Jar in the next Star Wars film.
Oh yeah, because he's heard it. He's like, Matt made such compelling argument. I rung my agent. It's happening.
That was the implication of the joke, Matt. You didn't need to.
Well, just for explaining it for other people listening who live it. Yeah, joke names. I mean. I think James is right. I mean, I'm probably tired to the point where I missed. Was it Drew Peacock? Drew Peacock, yeah.
Yeah, Drew Peacock.
Unbelievable. And there's probably another one as well.
What was the other one?
There was
I can't
the
remember.
other one got me laughing. It was
Jenny Talia or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, Jenny Talia.
Jenny Talia. Yeah. Come on.
Look, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, I thought we were on top of that, and then I just forget about it for a day or a week, and then suddenly they're all there.
I know. I've got to give it to our listeners. They spread them out perfectly, don't they? They know exactly when to attack and when to.
Because there's nothing this week that I can see. But what that means is there could be some this week. I'm just missing them.
So listeners, prepare for Matt to make the same joke about John Smith. John Smith. What does that mean? He'll do that 4 times in this episode.
I wouldn't dare do that, David.
Okay, sorry, Matt.
And I think that was it. No, it was a good show. It was good to listen to, and but that was it, really.
Cheers, mate. Do any of the listeners think that Blake was lying about whether he would take this role or not?
I can't actually find any correspondence about that particularly, but maybe there'll be lots more after my outburst this week. Paul Shin has tweeted in saying, if Sean wants to do a full Metroid playthrough, why not play the remakes? 0 missions on the GBA and Samus Returns on 3DS instead of the original Metroid 1 and 2. That's what I'm currently doing. There's another second bit of feedback, and we'll cover it afterwards. Luke Summerhays also, Sean and James both talked about doing a Metroid playthrough, but hesitated due to the NES and GB entries. They've both been remade. I don't know how easy the GBA games are to play in the UK, but I've just started the run of Zero Mission, Samus Returns, Super, Fusion, and Dread.
Good fucking point.
No.
What? Go on. Why is it not?
Not a good point. Your whole point about why you weren't doing this is because you were asking a question that said, if you had all the time in the world and no worries, what game series would you like to play through? And you said Metroid, right? Which is fine. But the implication is not that, there are better versions of those games. I'll do it then. It's, I need the time.
Yeah, true.
I need the time. I need the time. Patience. And people are going, well, just do it this way. It's like, no, you can't just inject time into the man. That's not...
We've tried. It can't be done.
We have actually tried that. Do you remember that? That was great.
Yeah. Pretty painful, but...
And that's how James Farley was born.
Did we say at the start that James
actually only
here?
3? Oh, sorry?
Yeah, we said at the start James wasn't here, but then you went on a mad rant about how Blake lied on last week's show. So I think you might have just.
It's that, and I've had a lot of sore throat tablets. So I don't know what day it is, but
I've got a sore throat as well.
No, I've got a mega bad one. It's like it's cool. It's like let's not get into it. Basically, I've got antibiotics and all sorts.
3-man show. Let's talk about minor health complaints.
It's great. It's great to come back from holiday to being really fucking ill. That's the best thing ever, isn't it? Herlock Sholmes. It's possible. Nice. I just have a suspicious mind, but I couldn't help noticing that the recent should TCGS do politics discourse has so far been driven by 2 listeners named Sasha Gray and Buster Nutt. I'm not necessarily saying these arguments are made in bad faith. However, if someone was called Juan Koff wanted to share opinions this week, I think further inquiries should be made. So
yeah, I know what you're saying. I get you. And the thought crossed my mind that it was a bit not inappropriate, but it was a bit weird to put your name like that on an email like that. But whatever.
Do you think there's ever been a time where there's been like a whole sort of back and forth between listeners on a certain subject on the show, and it's just been one person? Just like,
pretending
different names.
All little sock puppets, just like...
Probably. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me, Sean. It would not surprise me.
I mean, I've given
all
the
those people that
I know, exactly.
That email
We're going to get so much feedback next week from, in inverted commas, different people.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of emails we've got in slagging me off, and I kind of think, yeah, all right, come on, give it up.
They're all from
I think that is generally like 50 plus people.
Right, okay.
Tiny Tim, dear sirs, despite my general distrust of adults, as an 11-year-old footballer, I look up to you a lot. So last week when Mr. Farley suggested using a mirror to watch telly from another room, I listened. I have a similar setup to Mr. Turner and cannot watch anything whilst I'm in the kitchen making a cress egg sandwich. With the help of my brother, we managed to install 2 mirrors in hopes of reversing the image back to its original form. Mum was livid, but I rate it. The place looks like a level from Portal, thanks for the great idea.
I don't know about you guys. Yeah. I don't think that's an 11-year-old boy emailing in. I mean, what 11-year-old would say we installed 2 mirrors?
Yeah. It'd be more like mirror on wall. We got mirror.
We have a similar setup to Mr. Turner.
I mean, name an 11-year-old who likes a cress egg sandwich.
But also
that's
cress
a real giveaway
egg.
To me.
Like, isn't it egg and cress? Like, cress egg.
I think so, yeah. I just quite enjoy saying cress egg.
I want cress egg sandwich. What? Give me
I'll have a
cress
Craigie,
egg
please.
sandwich.
Can I have a Craigie?
Can I have a cress egg?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, congrats, Tiny Tim, on the mirrors. Sir Reznor of the Savage North. Refinding money. I mean, that's a reference, isn't it? Trent Reznor.
Go on.
I mean, I wasn't sure if it's a Trent Reznor thing. There can't be any more Reznors, surely.
No, it must be a Nine Inch Nail.
Was Trent Reznor, but was he born Trent Reznor, or was that just when he's like, I'm going to be in a cool rock band?
Surely not. That must be a stage name.
Well, I'll Google it. You carry.
Yeah, you could. Refinding money. Hi, lads. Long-time listener contacting you for the first time. I enjoyed the recent discussion on the appropriate response to finding other people's lost money and felt compelled to contact you. On reflection, I must have been quite lucky in this area. As a kid, on 2 separate occasions, I found money with one or the other parent who had completely different approaches. The first was on holiday when I found a scrunched up £20 note. My mother actively discouraged the guilt-ridden young Resner from looking for the owner or reporting the money missing, telling me extra spending money with a wink. On the occasion I was with my dad, I found £10 in my local park, which he kept and I think spent on cigarettes. As an adult, the most I found was £60, and in spite of being in quite an affluent area, I was racked with guilt. Or racked with guilt, of course. Was it an old person's shopping money, or was it a child's birthday money? It seemed like a very specific or thought out amount for a set purpose to my mind. On that occasion, I did report it and learned that in UK law, you should always report found possessions, including money, lest you be charged with the theft by finding, if the missing item is traced back to you after the owner reports the loss. I was subsequently...
You're telling me that finders keepers is not a legally binding...
Yeah,
that is...
Well, Neil Buchanan's a liar.
But the losers are weepers, though, Sean.
That clearly says in the rules.
Unbelievable. Sorry, I was subsequently allowed to keep the money after a number of weeks of it being unclaimed and in my possession. The most bizarre and ominous occasion of found cash I'm aware of, however, happened to my ex's mother. She was in a town centre days before Christmas. A gentleman in front of her dropped a wallet stuffed with money. She picked it up, caught up with the owner and returned the said wallet. In response, he thanked her and said to her, Your generosity has saved your life. Don't come into... Hang on. Okay, maybe I should have...
Oh, right, okay, that's that. Yeah, no, let's not read that out. That's the myth thing that goes around everywhere. That's why didn't you read this first?
Okay, I just haven't read it.
Sorry, yeah, when I copied and pasted, I sort of glanced and I thought I should probably give Matt a heads up that this takes a turn.
you fucking didn't. Okay, thanks for the correspondence.
We'll read from apologies for the lengthy response, that's fine.
To be honest, it takes another turn, but go on.
Okay, apologies for the lengthy response. Feel free to summarise or trim the fat as you see necessary. I do see necessary now. Bit like the one thing I will request is that you be better than Kane and Rince and give a brief mention to fellow listener and my best mate Hayes Red Mist. Leon flat out refuses to give shout outs in spite of the fact
that surprised me.
Yeah, in spite of the fact we often have to listen to him drone on about who they
what? Okay, yeah, no, we're going to cut this, right? This is ridiculous.
No, I think we just leave it.
What the fuck? Leon flat out refuses to give shout outs in spite of the fact that we often have to listen to them drone on about who they were at the time or the friend. A game reminds them all. Effectively shouting out to people it's the don't know.
I didn't think what was left was that bad, but I don't know.
Oh my word, that's amazing. That's the funniest email we've had for a while. Love, peace and good vibes, it says at the end.
Okay.
Oh my god, that is not
for the email.
How do we cut? I've got to recover. Sorry.
So Trent Reznor is his name's Trent. So Trent is his middle name. His full name is Michael Trent Reznor, which is less cool, obviously.
Yeah, so Michael Reznor of 9 Inch Nails doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
Mikey Rez. So everyone went with Trent, which is fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, Garrison Savannah. This week on Dark Calls, Dave risks a serious domestic trauma just to prove that he in fact does not know the correct procedure to kick a rat off a cliff.
True.
James becomes increasingly worried about the scope of his task, and he realised that his only source of help, the human Dark Souls wiki David Turners, is missing some important information, such as basic controls. Loving Dark Calls, great job, guys. So glad you put it back up, so I missed it first time round. Keep up the awesome work.
Cheers, yeah. If you want to listen to that, the whole show's going up every Friday. This week's one was a bit of an infamous one where for weeks I'd been telling James how to kick and I was getting the controls wrong. And I realised, I tell you what though, I did listen back to that episode and I've always had the attitude that podcasting, don't watch what you say, just speak how you speak. it's all fine. But I was making myself cringe with the amount of F-bombs I was dropping in that episode. Like, genuinely, I was like, oh, no, I get it now. Like, all my podcasting life, people have been going, you swear too much. You need to cut down the swearing or whatever. And I'm like, no, man. And then I listened to that and I was like, no, it's literally every other word. That's madness. So, hopefully that improves as the series goes along.
Unlikely. Buster Nut. Hi guys, just wanted to thank Dave for his well-articulated response to my feedback on last week's pod about workplace harassment. Apologies for misunderstanding in the first place and really appreciate you taking time out to respond. All the best, you awesome dudes. Buster.
Cheers, Buster. Yeah, that's all right.
And that's it for feedback. Go to tcgs.co/dear-tcgs to leave some feedback or whatever you want.
There's no news goblin this week, of course, but we have got a news.
Prince.
What would you be?
Boglin?
No.
What? Why not?
Boglin.
I used to fucking love Boglins.
We got the news Boglin.
Bloody love a
Everyone
Boglin.
did. They would make your hand smell, and when the eyelids broke, they become very sharp. We found out in my household. So don't make them like they used to, do they? Go on.
Halo Infinite. It's like definitely coming out this year and everything. Yeah, it's going to be fine. It's going to be really good. We're all really
100%.
excited. It's not going to have campaign co-op or Forge mode when it launches.
I assume this is from their blog, right? This is officially confirmed.
Yeah, this is official. Yeah, I think there was a video interview about it. I think because I haven't watched it.
I think Forge mode, the lack of Forge mode is fine, right? Because the Forge mode is the stuff that it's like the user created game modes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Which is very cool, but it's not.
Yeah, I like that stuff coming later because it's like, well, let's play the game first before everyone tries to fuck about with it.
However, co-op
it's pretty cool when that stuff arrives. Co-op's pretty essential.
Co-op's integral to Halo, isn't it? Like,
such a huge part of what made Halo Combat Evolved so good was playing with your friends, playing on Legendary. Playing this, and that not being there is mad. I mean, I haven't. There's probably stuff in this blog post that really goes into it, but obviously, we hope the game will be coming out, but they just couldn't implement what the map. I mean, what I wonder what it is.
You've broken. Well done. You've broken Matt's brain.
Melted.
What is it?
So they've said. So campaign co-op. They said is going to be season 2 at the earliest, which means about 3 months in. Whereas Forge, they're aiming for season 3, which is 6 months in. Although they have stressed that these release dates are quote subject to change. Which, let's face it. Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't mean they're going to be sooner than expected, does it?
I mean, I do usually play the Halo games solo first. That is something that I tend to do. So I'm not totally bummed out about it, but
you're not going to play it.
Part of Halo. It's such a big part of Halo for a lot of people. Not everyone's like me that plays it solo first. So, people like to play those games with those friends. It's mad. That is a mad thing.
It is. And it's like... Because what's really sad is that in explaining the decision, and like obviously there's the usual stuff around, we want to release something that's definitely really good. We don't want to put out stuff that isn't ready, which fine. But like, they go into it like explaining the reason they're delaying co-op is because, because there's so much you can do with it and so many different ways you can approach, taking over bases and stuff when there's more than one player. That gets technically really complicated. And I'm like, man, I get it, but that just makes it sound really fucking cool and way better than playing on your own. So,
It's tough. And when you're saying we don't want to release it until it's finished, well, it sounds like you're releasing it before it's finished. So, I don't know what to say to you.
They want to put out the bits that are definitely good to go rather than rush out.
But sort of ultimately what they're doing, it sounds like they're rushing out something so they can hit some sort of marketing thing that they've got lined up. I mean,
but releasing something when they wanted to isn't rushing out. They're just putting out at the same time, but less of it.
No. The Halo, what Halo is two things, right? It's campaign and multiplayer. Whenever you've started a campaign mode, there's always been the co-op side there. That's a basic element to playing Halo. Mm-hmm. To release it before that side of the game is finished, like, would you say they were rushing out if they said, well, we're going to release the campaign this year and then the multiplayer next year?
Yeah, that'd be shite.
Yeah, I think they'll do it the other way around though. But yeah, I mean,
okay.
But basically, this game has to come out this year. This can't be delayed again because it's already been delayed massively. Also these games typically come out in November because it's like a big push. Are they going like? Is it going to be a May 2022 game? I feel like it can't be delayed. Also, by having
why.
Because Xbox didn't have any games when it came out. The Series X and Series S came out. What are they not going to have? Their massive Halo game
last year. It's been a lot. These consoles have been out a long time at this point.
Yeah, and I'm saying they can't afford another year where they don't have a big tentpole release.
But they've got they've got the Psychonauts 2's coming out this week. That's getting huge things. I wouldn't put it up there with Halo.
No.
But you've got Forza coming out at the end of the year. It's not barren for Microsoft towards the end of the year, is it?
But Halo is a November game. It always has been. Like this needs to come out this year.
Right. So going back to the original argument then, do you think they're rushing this out for release at the end of the year?
I don't think they're rushing out. I feel like this is coming out.
I don't know how you totally can say that.
Well, no.
After what you've just said,
the implication is rushing is getting out earlier than anticipated. They anticipate it coming out November probably because that's always been
No. Rushing. No, hold on.
Yeah,
rushing
but cutting out
coming
massive
out
features.
Earlier than.
Yeah, cutting massive features to get it out for the date they said, that is a form of rushing. Sure.
Well, they're not going to turn around and say, hold on, Matt, they're not going to turn around and say, actually, we're going to move the release date forward a few months. Like, that's what you think rushing out is.
Well, if you're saying, well, it's always good rushing if they don't have every feature in.
Yes.
Then, but games are never, okay, we're 100% ready, everything is in, let's go. Like, there's always going to be things to add, always going to be things to add and implement. I mean, yeah, this is a major cool part of what makes Halo. But I guess they could keep delaying it forever and ever to add more bits, but I mean, like Forge has said, what did you say, season 2, Sean? So
season 2 for co-op, and then season 3.
So that could be what,
Forge,
6 months later. I mean, middle of May next year.
But I could argue that Forge isn't an essential part of the. Like, I can see that being added on. I can see Forge being added on later down the line. Co-op campaign should be their day one. It should just be their day one.
I'm not denying that. I think absolutely, it's a huge loss for it not being there. But
they're not rushing it out.
No, I don't know.
So if you're saying that games do this all the time, give me an example. Give me an example of a game that came out and said a major part of what that experience is.
When did I say that? What I said was that games are never
earlier, just then.
Games are never 100% ready. You can always like wait for other features and other features.
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. Yeah, you could always bring out stuff later down the line. Right,
and that's what we're saying. Like, and in the case of Forge, that's I think that's where Dave and I are. Is that like that's something we might get into later once we've exhausted the core game. But something like co-op, like a campaign co-op, feels like part of the core to us, and therefore it's a very significant omission.
Yeah, I guess I'm releasing on multiple platforms at once is also something I haven't done before. And maybe
I do wonder if they're massively regretting saying this would come out on
and I will also say what works in its favour is that it is a Game Pass game, and there'll be some of you listening to this saying, but I haven't got Game Pass, I've got no interest in Game Pass, I just wanted to buy the game, and it doesn't work in that case. But I think for a Game Pass game, is it less of an issue, because then you're kind of saying, well, no, you could just, it's weird. Because then you're kind of saying, well, you'll have to subscribe a few more months. I was going to say, if you want
to be really cynical about it, it's like, well, let's just spread out the release of the game. And
that's definitely not what it is. It? No, that can't be.
No,
if it's crossed our minds now, then it's definitely someone at Microsoft has definitely thought it.
Yeah, it's true. Right.
Yeah, it's a shame, but
it's true.
I'm like you, Dave. I mean, I've always played the single players on my own anyway, and the one time I didn't was Halo 4 with you and James, and I literally don't remember a single second of that game. And as as bonkers as the story is in the Halo franchise, I have always enjoyed playing through and trying to understand stories I play the game. But that game was just us chatting bollocks for 8 hours.
Do you know what, Sean? I've got to tell you this because Matt brings this up all the time, right? James and I had a great time
No,
playing through
I'm not saying
that game.
I didn't say I had a
It
bad
sounds like
time.
Matt's the
I had a
biggest
great time.
regret of his life was playing that game with us.
Us, we had a great time because we were just chatting bollocks and chatting as we annoy you. That's good, but it means I played. It's like a 3D chat room. I had no attention at all in the game. I was just pressing buttons. That wasn't the important thing. The important thing was like making you guys laugh while having a beer. Like I could be playing Minecraft, Minesweeper, whatever it is, Minecraft, anything with the word mine in the title.
Could have been playing Minesweeper.
But
is that what you're saying?
Best chat room you've ever played.
I'll still be having a good time. So I'm with you guys, but the game I paid zero attention to. What I'm saying is,
how many player co-op is it, Sean?
Do you know? I don't think this story says.
Well, if it's free, mate, do you want to join me and James for a little bit of co-op when it's finally
please.
released? Because we have a spare.
Well, good luck understanding a single second of the story because you know.
Mate, you play it on your own, you understand a single second of the fucking story. I lost my way with Halo a long time ago, baby. Long time ago, right?
But what I took from this was that this thing is not nailed on. I thought, okay, we've got a beta. You know, all the discussion and rumoured and like leaked tweets and all sorts of stuff about coming out in November. It's November. All Halo's games come out in November. I was fairly confident it is coming this year, but then these things are happening in the months leading up, and I don't know. Not that I suddenly expected the game to be rock solid, definitely coming out because you can't really guarantee anything these days. But it's like another. Oh, okay, cool. It's another thing that
it's a little bit of a letdown.
Isn't quite there. I mean, so
you're not. I know what you're saying.
There's a quote here. They talked about the possibility of just delaying the whole thing to release it, in one go with Forge and campaign co-op. It said, quote, "We talked about that, but where we landed was Halo Infinite is a live game, so it isn't ever really done." I mean, come on, that's just cheating.
I want to go into this game confident that I'm going to play a good Halo game, and these news stories do nothing for that, and it doesn't reflect what we might finally get. We might get a brilliant Halo game, but
I hope to God
be confident about it.
I so hope with everything in my body it's a good Halo game. Like, I mean, I want a good Halo game, and it would I just want a fucking good Halo game, please. Just give me, please. You gotta compete. You gotta ship a good
easy.
Game.
I could do one. If they don't come through, I'll make one for you, Matt. Don't worry.
Okay, that's a promise, yeah.
new series of Bell's Kitchen.
I'll just not want to get. I'll load up Dreams, and I'll just
someone's gonna
this afternoon.
Anyway, speaking of games being rushed to release, what's the next news story, Sean?
So there's Cyberpunk 2077 has had a big patch. It's now version 1.3, and it's got some free DLC in it, guys. Do you want to know what the free DLC is?
Yes, please.
It's some new jackets, 2 new jackets.
Oh, yeah.
Wicked.
Oh, so I'm just going to the Xbox store to rebuy the game. Hang on, give me a minute.
There's a new car, which during the developers' live stream, one of them kept saying he hated the colour of it. You can't change the colour of it, guys. Can't change the colour of it.
Good, didn't want to. Next.
And Johnny Silverhand has got there's a new appearance you can choose from where he's just got like a nice like jacket but with nothing underneath and some like sort of sideways emo hair.
Sorry, are these things called DLC?
That's what they're calling free DLC that comes with this update. I mean, there's a ton of bug fixes as well.
There is. I watched a video of someone playing it, and there's still a ton of bugs in there. And still a ton of bugs. Pretty messy.
Still a ton of bugs. Still looks quite messy. They have fixed. So there's always been a huge problem with the minimap in the game. In that when you get in a car and drive around really fast, the minimap stays the same size. So it's like absolutely useless. So if you're supposed to turn a corner, like you're just trying to navigate by the dots on the minimap. And you completely miss every turn because you're driving at full speed and you have no idea the corner's coming. So now the minimap zooms out a little bit while you're driving. 8 months it's been, guys. And they've added you can get a cat in the game, and it now moves around to different places in your apartment.
Okay. Yep, so, well, that's better than a game that doesn't drop frames left, right, and centre. Sure.
Okay, do we think this next gen version is coming out this year? Yes or no?
It's not looking good, is it?
I think I'm going to say no at this point. I think this is going to get delayed.
And don't get me, like, I'm not saying, like, I do feel for the staff, and I do, like, obviously working conditions, all the shit they had with, the massive hack, like loads of staff just completely lost access for, was it weeks or I can't remember, a while anyway. But but on paper, it has been 8 months since this came out, and they're still just firefighting, like. It's not really a fair comparison, but obviously by this point, Witcher 3 had like a bunch of free DLC. The first major expansion had come out by this point.
What about what was it? No Man's Sky. How long did that take?
No
that
Man's
took
Sky,
over a year, right?
Oh, actually, had The Witcher 3 had its... So the No Man's Sky definitely had its first big update by this point.
But did it have... Because there was one specific update that come out and sort of went, okay, it's got loads of stuff that we thought it was going to have in it now.
Yeah, that was like a... Was that like a year later? Maybe more than that.
Yeah, it was like a year later, something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to do James Farley. I'm not sure about the Witcher thing now that I've said it.
Oh, God. Well, we look forward to next week's feedback.
If I go full Farley, I'll just deny ever saying it.
Yeah, good point. I know that it's unfair for me to really pick holes in this because I've not played the new patched version. I watched a video of someone reviewing it. They were extremely happy that a few of the quests that completely got bugged out on them was now working, so that's a positive sign.
Okay.
But for me, I just want to see it running smoothly and not feel so clunky to play. So call me when that's working.
Well, Dave, because it's a live game, it's never truly complete. So
apparently so. Yeah.
Every now and then I'm like,
worry.
Oh fuck! I'm really hankering after, but playing Cyberpunk but I think no, I'll just wait for next gen. Like, why would I possibly go now? Especially
I've just checked. I was right. So Witcher 3 came out in May 2015, and Hearts of Stone was out by October 2015.
Just taking up airtime to say how right you are. Brilliant. Should we go to the next story?
Brilliant.
Do you know what? Actually, I've thought about it. I've checked, and I am amazing.
Turns out.
This just in.
Yeah, BBC breaking news. Turns out I am right.
Sean's a fucking legend. Anyway, on to the next story.
According to Eurogamer,
a source says legend.
Anonymous sources confirmed.
People close to the
source close to the matter.
Legend.
Source close to the matter.
Okay.
Me.
Let's get on.
That's what.
People Can Fly, developers of Outriders, have said that Square Enix have not paid them any royalties for making the game. Apparently a deadline of the 16th of August has been and gone, by which point Square Enix were supposed to pay up any royalties that they were owed for making the game, and nothing has been forthcoming. Now, it's a bit like a lot of the places reporting on this, like obviously the headline is just Outriders dev says Square Enix yet to pay it a royalty fee. When you actually get into the story, it basically just means that the game probably hasn't broken even. But like, what is interesting is that basically, as far as I can tell, there's been no communication between Square Enix and People Can Fly about why this has happened. Right. They just haven't been paid. And
maybe someone from accounts was on holiday. And
possibly it's some holidays.
Have you checked out of office? It's the back on the 29th. Then you'll get the payment. What's wrong with you?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about this being public. It's
quite
maybe
weird.
if they thought that they're completely at the end of their tether with it, whether they've tried every other avenue to try and get their attention and it hasn't worked. So the last result is to go public with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, all right, we'll sort it out between the two of you then. But I'll tell you what, it's not a good look for Square Enix.
No.
Is it?
No, it isn't. So the quote is, says, it's led them to conclude that there are no grounds for the publisher to pay royalties to the company for the period from the 1st of April 2021 to the 30th of June 2021. Obviously, the game came out on the 1st of April. But then they go on to say, so this is from the People Can Fly president, Sebastian Wachowski. Says, we don't have any sales figures for Outriders, which is pretty incredible considering they made the game. Again, I'm not
Yeah.
Obviously they just
yeah.
Square Enix are not
Puzzling.
forthcoming with that information, but it says we estimate it at between 2 and 3 million units, and assumed this was a result that it would ensure profitability for the project in the first quarter of sales. The lack of payment by the publisher probably means that, according to Square Enix, this is not the case. Perhaps it was caused by some elements of Square Enix's sales policy, the details of which we don't know, such as partnerships concluded by the publisher with distribution platforms or entities offering Outriders as an addition to their products. I mean, he can't say it, but he's talking about Game Pass, right?
It is, yeah.
So I'm wondering if People Can Fly's feeling is that Square Enix may have taken less money than they should have to get it on Game Pass. I don't know. I don't know how those deals work.
These are agreements that would have happened between the two. It's mad that it's kind of playing out.
This is this is what's interesting. Like, if People Can Fly have signed a contract that just says, like, yeah, well, we'll pay you when we break even, but then they have no say in the costs incurred by Square Enix and how. Yeah,
what have they done?
Leaving all those business decisions. I mean, that's what a publisher is for, right? Is to make those business decisions. So I guess you just sort of. Maybe you would sign that contract just on the understanding that it benefits both parties for the publisher to make sensible business decisions.
Probably have a good idea about the figures involved before. You wouldn't say,
you would think any developer should. Yeah, you think a developer should have the.
Break even? Oh, we're not going to tell you that, baby. Just.
Well, this is it. Yeah, it's just the sheer sort of lack of transparency, isn't it? That's just wild. And what's doubly interesting, and a lot of news stories have pointed this out, is that like. When the game came out, Square Enix was very quick to explain how well the game was doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And suddenly it's like, oh, not that well, actually, because now it's time to pay up. Decided it didn't do that well after all. So yeah, really not a good look.
All I can say is that I hope it all works out for them, because like,
well, God, yeah, because I mean,
feel weird hearing all this. It's just like weird.
It just seems wild, doesn't it? You know, when you find out that people in charge of things don't really know what they're doing, or or act in a transparent and honest way, and just like, oh, it's just like companies are just being run by people just like, we just won't tell them how many it sold, and we'll just we can just see if we can just not pay them. They might get a lawyer onto us eventually, and then maybe we'll pay them. But I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely feel for People Can Fly, because they're not like a huge developer, so. Like smaller studios, like it's a tenuous fucking existence at the best of times. If they were expecting like a payment from Square Enix that has not arrived, just mysteriously, then that is that's really shit for them. And yeah, I mean, as you say, it doesn't. Any developers who are thinking of signing a deal with Square Enix might think twice about it, seeing this story. I don't know.
Say People Can Fly will not be working with them again, regardless of whatever outcome they come to.
Yeah. I mean, there's been other stories. We didn't talk about on the show. Fuck, who was it? There was an indie dev did a big thread about a contract they were offered from a publisher, and basically why they didn't take it, and the various reasons why it could sort of potentially be exploitative. And then, sort of solicitors looked at it and they're like, this is pretty standard, actually. Which doesn't mean it's right, but it is common. So maybe this is a similar example. Don't know.
It's interesting because we hear those stories about actually it's on Game. Well, once on Game Pass, it's had like millions of players. Oh wow, that must be brilliant for revenue. And then you hear about actually like not only was it on Game Pass and had millions of players, actually as it said, it's a quote in this about the sales ratio is really high, even though it's on Game Pass. It's actually one of the top selling games of the week or month. Right, okay, even better. That must be amazing. And then you think actually it's on Game Pass, therefore Microsoft must have paid them loads of money for it to be on Game Pass. This must be brilliant for devs. And then you hear about this side of the story where actually obviously when these deals happen, there is like not everyone's getting money until certain thresholds are met, until certain revenue targets are met. And it's like, I know this is actually kind of the in black and white, this is actually what devs have to deal with every day. About it's not just about a game might have had millions of players or sold loads. It's actually when all the dust is settled and revenue figures and whatnot are calculated. Actually, it's what are devs getting at the end of the day. It's I don't think this will be the last time we hear about this kind of story of what we deem as a in inverted commas successful game or successful launch on Game Pass.
And it's like you say, it's just wild that those goalposts have shifted so significantly. Like I think we all remember the days that like if a game sold 1 million units, then they were laughing, whereas now it's like there are games that have to sell like 5 million plus, or else they don't even nearly break even. So it's just wild. Outriders is a good game. If you're listening to this and thinking, do you know what, I never played that, it's pretty fucking good. I finished it. I had a really nice time. But hey ho.
Nice.
Cool.
Next story. Fortnite's got a new mode, and it's Among Us.
What do you mean?
No, Sean, it's called Imposters. It's not. It's not the same.
Sorry, it's called Imposters.
It's not the same.
It's a new mode in Fortnite where there's 10 players and there's 8 agents and 2. What do they call them? Imposters, of course. Hence the name of the mode.
Wait. Slow down. You're telling me that the guys at the Fortnite saw a game mode
guys at the Fortnite.
and thought, that's a great idea, we're going to nick that in a hope that it'll make them really popular. This
is the thing, isn't it? But it's like even more brazen this time, I think.
I don't know if it was, Sean, was it? I mean, they literally helped out the developers of PUBG and then just nicked the idea.
Well,
I didn't know that.
No, I mean, like Epic was PUBG using the Unreal Engine. It's not quite the same as they helped out, but yeah, I do get what you mean.
Okay, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Everyone forgets
they helped them. No, Matt, read the story. They helped them. They literally got in touch with them and helped them implement it within the engine.
Oh shit!
It's darker than you think.
But this is
everyone forgets that Fortnite is called Fortnite because it was originally a game where you built bases and then every night some monsters would come and get you, and then you'd have to shoot the monsters with your mates, and then it'd be daytime and then you'd build again. Does sound a bit like Minecraft. But that's why it's called Fortnite. And then they just went, do you know what? Let's add this Battle Royale mode to see how that does. and yeah, look where we are now. Didn't
they start off, wasn't it, they gave the Battle Royale mode for free.
Yes.
And then Fortnite Save the Planet was like, they'll play this
Save the world,
and then they'll go on to buy this other mode.
Yeah, that'll be the gateway to the real game. But yeah, just completely, did not work out like that. So yeah, so they've nicked Among Us, right? I think, like in the dev said, the worst part is they have actively been trying to collaborate with Epic to do something like this, and then this has just come out of nowhere. I mean, it's shit because it's obviously, we've always said like you shouldn't be allowed to like copyright game mechanics, right? Because that just murders innovation.
Yeah,
it does.
And it stops people sort of, doing their own spins on things. And, obviously within that, there should be like an unwritten agreement that when it's Epic versus a tiny dev who've had like this breakout hit, like maybe just leave them. Don't nick their idea. Maybe like you've got the resources to come up with something else. And Fortnite does, right? Obviously Fortnite does loads of shit that I literally barely understand at this point. Like they show screenings of films and have concerts. I mean,
and stuff,
that
had like the Ariana Grande concert the other week. Like so, they clearly are doing things which are genuinely innovative in games and crazy.
Yeah,
but
the live events are absolutely brilliant, and if you remember, they're not easy to do or replicate either because Destiny tried it, and my word. Like, it was, when I saw what Fortnite were doing with their live events, I was like, I can't wait to see how Destiny do this. The Destiny one was 3 hours of watching a star.
Hey, do you know, we're coming up to a season end of Destiny, aren't we? I wonder if they're going to do something similar. That'll be interesting.
Ariana Grande coming out, is it? Or out of the little ball that's floating over the city or whatever it is?
Better be.
Is that ball still there, Sean?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god! Right, okay.
Sean, is this a you think so or James Farley thinks so? Is this a? It's definitely.
No. The ball's still. Yeah, you still kick the ball around.
Okay.
I'm talking about the big ball in the sky. The big ball.
Sorry, I thought you meant the one you could. Fucking hell. The Traveller's there. Yeah, call it the Traveller, Dave.
Get the ball around.
Okay.
It's not only still there; it's fucking healed, Dave.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
You know, it had all bits floating around it. Not floating around; they're all part of it now. What are you laughing at? This is important.
Sorry, Sean. That's very disrespectful.
No, don't worry. The other week, Joe Scrabbles asked me because there was like a teaser for this new season. He was like, "Oh, what does this?"
Hyped, aren't they? They're very. There's a lot of hype on Twitter about this, and it kind of makes me think I want to get back into that. And I haven't got any time.
And he was like, "Oh, what's this about?" And I was like, "How long have you got?" because I've actually been paying attention to the story recently, and it's been really good. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, sorry, Fortnite, Among Us. Yeah, really shitty. I don't know if there's much to say beyond that, is there? It's just...
Well, I mean, is it any good to play? Have you tried it?
Have I, heck?
Okay. I mean, to be fair to the Fortnite, there are loads of games that's just ripping that off in a worse way, isn't there?
Yeah. True.
You know, there's Duck Duck Goose and all that sort of stuff is practically the same thing, isn't it? And that's doing really well off its own back. So, yeah, it's one of those situations where a game mode is very popular and it's going to be stolen by a bunch of other games. So, unfortunately,
yeah, I mean,
that's
I guess you can say the whole thing about the Battle Royale thing was just, it was taken in inverted commas and then adopted, and everyone has a Battle Royale mode now. And you think, well, but it's like, isn't everyone copying PUBG? But this just, I guess it feels worse because it's like indie versus
exactly. It's the power imbalance, isn't it? Like if Battle Royale had been invented by like Infinity Ward, and then indies were trying to do their own versions of it, that would just be cool. And that's when be like, right, people are innovating on it. This is really interesting. But yeah, when it's the other way around, it just feels like it's being stolen from smaller devs, which is shit.
Okay.
That's it for the news.
A thief is a thief, Sean, all right? That's the way I see it. Theft is theft, mate.
Robin Hood, get in the slammer, mate.
Yeah. Was that your bread, Aladdin? It wasn't, was it? You may have a little bit of, swagger about you, mate, but you still nicked that bit of bread, didn't you, son? I don't care if it was for Abu. That's very good. Is that it? Are we done with the news?
That's it. That is it for the news.
Let's get into what you've been playing, and I think this week we should start off with 12 minutes.
I'm suddenly really sad James isn't here.
Yeah, James was really excited to talk about this on the show. I'm very excited to talk about this on the show. For those of you that don't know about it, 12 minutes is... well, I mean, it really surprised me, this game, when I first launched it. 12 minutes is a time loop game where you play the same... Well, it says you think it was 12 minutes long, but it's not actually for the most part of it. You can cut those 12 minutes short. I think the main bulk of the loop is around 10 minutes. But you keep repeating a scene set in an apartment with a husband and wife, and at some point a policeman knocks on the door and arrests the wife and kills the husband. And you repeat that scene over and over again until you manage to find a way out from the loop. That's the basic premise. What caught my eye about this game, it wasn't so much the fact that they had some great voice actors in it. Ridley Scott, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. No,
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley.
William Dafoe.
Daisy Ridley.
William Dafoe and James McAvoy.
Daisy Ridley.
Have I got that wrong?
Daisy
or
Ridley.
Are you just doing a time loop gag?
No, everyone kept saying Daisy Ridley, and I just felt like keeping it going. Is it James McAvoy who's the other one?
James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and William Dafoe. Yeah.
So that wasn't what caught my eye. What caught my eye is that it just had a really interesting perspective. It looked really grounded from the marketing leading up to it, and it had that top-down view. Everything was viewed in a top-down view, and it looked like a really interesting concept, a really interesting visual thing to look at, and I like the idea of seeing how I could experiment in this setting and seeing where the story went. What struck me instantly was, I'd read reviews and heard chatter about it on podcasts where they were saying, I didn't realise how point-and-click adventure this is. And I thought, okay, all right, so you walk around and you've got to pick up items and put them places and stuff like that. I kind of get that, that's fine. What I didn't realise is, you shouldn't be saying, oh, this is very point-and-click, is it? You should be saying this is a point-and-click adventure game, because you literally have a cursor on the screen.
Okay.
You point at where the character walks to. The character walks to that position. You look at an object, you point your cursor at an object, and he puts it in the pocket, and then you can, the items are all displayed. Well, you go to the top of the screen, and there's a pop-down menu with your items in it, and you drag that over to what you want to interact with, and all that sort of stuff. So that surprised me, but I'd say for the first 20 minutes, maybe the first 2 loops, I was like, okay, I'm in. Right, this is interesting.
Yeah, the first half
where
hour
this is
going. Like, okay, I'm entirely enthralled.
Yeah, how can I do this? How can I do that? Let's see what happens if I do this. Let's see what happens if I do that. But my experience plummeted from that moment. From about the 3rd loop, I think... And here's my problem. I know we're going straight into criticisms about the game. I'll be straight up front with you. I hated it by the end of it, like flat out really didn't like it, and we'll go into why. Because I don't like shitting on games for just shitting on games, but I think I really need to put out there why I had such a bad reaction to this game. But you know, the first thing that hit me is that when I'm playing a game like this that has various different items and options and bits and pieces that you could do to try and influence that, I need to know what my goal is. And early on, I realised that it doesn't really give you an indication of what your goal should be. So initially, I'm thinking my goal is to stop the cop from killing me or stop the cop from arresting my wife. Or
I thought exactly the same.
Yeah. But as you start to move further into the game, you realise that it's far more mechanical than that. And it's not, hey, try this and this might work. And if that happens, then you could do this. And then if that happens, then you can do this. It's more, you need to get this piece of information in this loop. Then in the next loop, you need to say that piece of information to this character at this time to make this happen. And it's like, instead of having the freedom of, say, because what I've said to loads of people who've asked me about this game is that I went into it thinking this was going to be Hitman, because to me, Hitman is a better time loop game than 12 minutes is. Simply because when you go into a level in Hitman on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th run, everything's still happening at the same time. You know, every step the characters are making, every conversation, that's all exactly the same. But you can manipulate certain things and see how that affects the outcome, and then adapt what you're doing to react to that outcome, right? Yep. Here, it is literally click the right thing at the right time to progress. That's how it feels to me. And not only that, if you don't click it at the right time, you then have to start that loop again. And sometimes the point in which you get to click that thing at the right time, you've got to set about 3 or 4 things in motion before you get to that point. Right. So if you fuck that up, if you try the wrong thing or do it at the wrong time, you've then got to repeat everything you've done just to get back to that point to try something else. And so as I was playing through this experience, I was getting more and more frustrated with A, how mechanical it was, B, trying to wrap my head around what I needed to do to progress. You know, it didn't seem like I could work out things and then piece it all together in one run. It was literally, you will not be able to get past this loop unless you've done this specific thing and learnt this bit of information. Otherwise, you'll just be pissing around in loops forever.
Right.
So that was, in terms of playing the game, I was getting more and more frustrated. And then coupled with the way everything is stitched together, I found, I don't know about you, Matt, but that totally threw me out of the situation. If you're setting a game in one little area with 3 characters, one of the things that you must do is make it believable. You must make each character feel like they are there and they're aware of each other, and they're aware of differences that you're doing within that time loop,
and
right?
Their tone and response reacts well to the other characters. That's what they need to do, and it doesn't.
And it doesn't do that. It stitches things together in such a strange way. Like 1 minute, you'll say something that really upsets your wife in the game. She'll burst into tears or shout at you, and then you'll click on something and she'll go, "Oh yeah, I've got to call about the electrics in the thing," and I'm like,
"Oh yeah, I did that." Yeah, like there's one moment where there's like something not shocking but incredibly powerful had been revealed, and then I'm like, "Hey, should we dance or do you want dinner?" It's like fucking hell, and it's just like, the response was not really catered to what I just said to her.
Which is so weird when, like, as you're saying, like the rest of it feels so obviously sort of mechanical. Like, you would think that if the design of it is otherwise quite rigid, that would prevent these weird little mishaps.
Well, yeah and no, but I think if anything, that keeps in with the theme that it's so mechanical, right? So that it's not fluid enough to anticipate various different routes in conversation that you might have.
Right? Yeah.
It's very responses are tied to what you're clicking and not what has gone before it. So, like, for example, the best example of this is that I was in a situation where she told me a secret about herself. And she was really worried about my response. And she instantly started saying things like, "Why are you being so quiet? Just say something, please." So I clicked on her and we had a conversation over the space of about 2 minutes, various different things. But I must not have clicked the one thing that she needed me to click to either calm down or understand me or whatever. The conversation ended and she went, "I can't take this silence anymore. I'm going." And I went, "We've just been chatting for like, what are you talking about? This is really weird." And
which is things like that, you get sort of weirdly incongruous things like that in conversations in games all the time, but when it's something so tense and so dramatic.
Like massive RPGs, like you get that and you kind of expect bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
But I think what it is that not only is it because it's so confined, that stuff is really like highlighted, not only is it so narrative based that stuff is so highlighted, but also the fact that when you've got the concept of the idea to the player is, hey, it's a time loop. Try new things out. Try things out and see what happens in the next. Like, how does your actions affect this loop? When it means that the reaction is not natural, it kind of makes you think, oh, right, well, that was pointless then, wasn't it? Because there was no reaction to what I was doing. There was just this very rigid response to conversation clicks I was clicking. And I was kind of... So by that point, I'm about halfway through and I'm thinking, I'm really not digging this, but I'm interested to see where the story goes. And so I'm going to push on. Then you get to the latter part of the game. Some of the puzzles are crazy, in my opinion. James said to me, it's as if only people that knew the solutions had played this game. Like, once you know the solutions, you're like, right, okay, do this, do that, and do that, fine. But if you don't know the solutions, some of them just seem bizarre. Like, who's thinking this at the time? So towards the end of the game, I fully had to just go and check a walkthrough. And I hate that because, oh, God, yeah, Matt, you didn't check. No. Don't tell me you didn't check a walkthrough.
No, I didn't. There's one where I was, like, super close, and I basically then did the thing. For me, the game, it feels like, okay, you see lots of things in a room and you like click on them and see how they react. But then it got to a point where I was just clicking loads of different parts of every room because I clearly missed a key facet and I found it. I'm like, okay, right, that makes more sense now. But no, I didn't look at it. I thought I would absolutely look at a guide for it. The only thing I looked for a guide for was the alternative ending. But I was incredibly close because I hadn't found something in... I won't say. I haven't found something.
But Matt, I find that fascinating. If you're telling me you didn't check a guide, then you must have spent hours on this. Because
I did. I checked my time today. Someone else, my mate Joe asked me how long I played it, and it was like well over 10 hours. And I'm fairly sure it's like a 4-hour game for most.
Right, but what I don't get is that there are quite a few puzzles towards the end of the game that not only... I mean, clicking on everything is fine, right? You can click. There's not actually that much to click on. There's not like loads of items that you can collect.
No, but when I was missing a key part in one of the rooms, But
what I'm saying is that not only have you got to know what item to click and in what order, you've also got specific time frames to use it. Especially in the puzzle where, how do I put this without spoiling it? Where one of the characters is just about to leave the flat and you've got to show them something just before they leave. There's literally like a 3-second time in there that you've got to do something. How did you do that?
Are you... I don't know how it says about not spoiling.
Skills.
Explaining a name.
Yeah, so
when you had to explain a name.
No, but I'd already worked out before I even had that opportunity in the conversation to discuss it.
So did I.
Yeah. So I tried multiple times to insert that object into the conversation and failed, and then basically did it a little bit later until I worked out the opportune time to do it. Yeah. So hold
on. So you're telling me for this puzzle,
yeah,
you tried it 2 or 3 times, it didn't work, and then you tried it again later without being told that no, that is the solution. You just didn't get the timing right.
Yeah, because it was obvious that this game, unfortunately, it's not about whether you have the solution. It's unfortunately when you can insert that solution rather than saying, I know what the answer is. And so I knew it was to do with that item. I knew I had to show that person. But earlier when I was showing it, they're saying like one more. If I hear one more word from you, you're dead.
Yeah, that's what I kept getting.
Yeah.
And I was
like, okay, well, maybe I'll wait until someone else says something, and that happens. Then I'll suggest this item, which again doesn't feel natural. It's not like any good point and click or. Yeah, like even other games, like Zelda games, we have like okay, I need to get this item, give that to that person, this does that. Like that feels more natural. This is just wait for that thing to tick over. Yes or no? Okay, failed. Okay, I'll try again next time. Did that work? Yes, move on to the next one. And then, yeah, so I for that particular item, I knew that was the answer. I knew I had to I'd hoped that me displaying it would work, and I just kept trying it until it worked.
Okay, all right. Well, fair play. You got more patience than me, because also to point this out, Sean, if that is how Matt got through it, then not only did he have to present that item, every time he failed, he had to then do all the steps that led up to a position where he could present that item. So he must have done that loop
you can skip loads towards the end.
What do you mean skip it? You can you can skip some conversation, but you've still got to go through it all. You've still got to...
you've still got to do the initial bits, but you can, like...
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about.
You can get everything in place and then say, let's wait for that person, and then...
You can skip time, but you've still got to go and set everything up every time. Infuriated me.
No, I've just checked. Basically, my time played on the Xbox app is 10 hours, 46 minutes. Fairly sure this is a 4-hour game. I played a lot, and there's basically.
I don't know how you had the patience to do that, Matt, because
I wanted to see the story, Dave, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, but
really,
but no, Dave did as well. He just did it in half. Oh right,
okay, gotcha.
But Dave did it in half the time as well. I'm on Dave's side here. I would have looked at the walkthrough.
To be fair, I was really disappointed with myself. Like I felt, I play these games, one, to make myself feel clever for working out the puzzles, and 2, because I want to enjoy the story. Yeah. Right. And we'll get to the story in a bit. But the puzzles for me were so they weren't stupid, because there is a logic behind them. There's an easy way of saying that they're completely illogical. They're not, right? But they're so limited in when you can do them, and then coupled with the fact that the only way to try again, like I made this point on Roll Muck, right, when we were talking about it. I've played a lot of point and click adventures. If you're trying to brute force your way through them, you click an object, you click it on something else, and the character usually shrugs at the screen and goes, "That ain't gonna work." You know what I mean? Like, huh? What am I gonna do with that?
Not gonna try that.
Yeah. And then you just try something else. But on this, instead of doing that, it's as if they go, "That ain't gonna work. Let's go back to a checkpoint from the beginning of this mission bit and do all those bits first and try and up something else." Yeah. And it's just like, put a rewind. You're fucking with time anyway. But put like a clock in his, let him look at his watch and rewind time for a little bit. What's wrong with that? Like, let me do that. It's so frustrating. It really put me off the game in terms of playing the thing. But as we're moving on, right, there was that thing in the back of my head. I want to see where this plot goes, and I just could not believe how bad the plot was in this. And I've seen a lot of people say, no, the story was really good. If you're one of those people, explain it to me then, because I think I know what the plot is, right? and I'm pretty confident I know what they're going for, even explain to me, it still doesn't make sense. It makes no sense to me. Just absolutely no sense. Even if you're going with what people seem to think is happening in this, it still makes no sense to me.
I absolutely love media, like books, films, whatever it is, or games, whereby the end is either ambiguous or people have different like readings into it. Like, I think actually the ending means this, or I think this means this. Like that's why I absolutely love, watching like a particular type of horror film I've got into recently, where you watch the film, you enjoy it, and then you watch afterwards, and like, actually no, this means this. And, okay, I absolutely love that kind of hidden symbolism or hidden meaning in certain things. This, I thought, okay, well, the story is fucking shit. Maybe I've just missed something. And I'm like, no, I'm very sure this is the story. Well, this just doesn't make sense. And then I would watch, after I finished it, like, hey, here's the ending. And I'm reading like the comments on YouTube, people saying, well, actually, I think it's about this. And I'm like, no, this is just this is bollocks, story-wise. It just...
It's such a shame because you know, like...
Sorry.
Like I was just going to say, like, they obviously, so they made a point of, telling us who was in this game, the actors in it, and there is like a sort of implied, like approval there, right? And it's like, oh, well, if they got like fucking Hollywood actors in, they've presumably read the script and gone, do you know what? Actually, this is fucking good. I'll do it.
William Dafoe was in Detroit Become Human, though,
he was.
That implication might have been lost on that one, but...
Well,
I don't know.
I thought William Dafoe's character was. I thought he was the best performance, definitely.
Yeah,
but performance saying lines that didn't make sense. And I must admit, right, I listened to Nextlander talking about this, and they made a good point. You have to hear him saying. I mean, you should just go and listen to that podcast. Make this point because I feel bad talking about it, but it made me laugh a lot. Just in case you don't listen to it. They said you want to go and you have to hear that William Dafoe say prank call a lot in this, but for some reason it's like it's the first time he's ever heard the phrase prank call, because he goes, honey, I think you had a prank call. And Joe made a really good point, because I was showing her this game. I said try and guess the voice actors or whatever, and when I told her that it was Daisy Ridley, she was like, what's the point in having her on if you it's not even a recognisable voice?
I
did say to her, yeah, but at the same time, I did say to Joe, no, it's not just about her voice; it's about her like voice acting. Like she's actually it's about her performance rather than just it sounding like her. But I kind of got her point at the same time.
Yeah, because when I started the game, I knew who the actors were in the game, and I thought, okay, well, I'll wait for the Scottish person. Oh no, I can't hear James McAvoy. Is that Daisy Ridley? And I kind of know it is Daisy Ridley. I mean, you can tell William Dafoe's voice instantly, and I thought, like I said, I thought his performance overall was easily the best. But I don't know. I don't having those Hollywood performers is good for, like, it's more like about validity of the game. Wow, Hollywood actors are in this game, but I don't think having them in really did much. I mean, I just don't really see that. I don't really see what they didn't really add anything extra that a really good voice actor already couldn't do.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Like, yeah, like I'm saying that, like having Hollywood actors sort of sounds like a sort of seal of approval, but yeah, it's as you say, like the fact is there are loads of incredible, voice actors who primarily do games, and you almost wonder if you regularly voice games, are you therefore going to get a bit better at spotting like a good project? Like if you're used to, like, you're a Hollywood actor and you're used to just getting a script, perhaps when you come across something like this where it's quite granular, right, because there's all different ways it can go, and there'll be lines you have to act that aren't really part of the eventual canon storyline, presumably. So it must be weird. Like they must have to act loads of stuff just completely out of context, and like, oh well, there's one scene where you'll say this, but actually it didn't really happen in the end. So it must be weird for them to...
that's assuming that those actors don't know what video games are, and I think we're going to see less of...
But but there's a difference between, like a game that's sort of, pretty linear, and then something like this, which is quite sort of mechanical and... Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know, it's interesting. I'd be intrigued to hear from like an actor. Like I don't even know how much access they get to the scripts, right? And I imagine with something like this, where all the dialogue is so intrinsic to the puzzles, like probably the design of things shifts around quite a lot. So you probably only get like the voice acting probably only happens like very late in the day. I would have thought.
Yeah, it happens late. I mean, we've for Zombieland we work with voice actors, obviously, and it happens late in the day. But you do at least give them the context of how they're performing it. But who knows? I mean, obviously everyone's different.
I mean, I will say that the voice acting was fine. Like, I haven't got a complaint about the voice acting at all, really. I think the way the voices are stitched together is it's very messy and can really take you out of the experience. Really? But that's not the voice actor's fault. No. So I've got no complaints with their choice of voice actors. That was fine. Mm-hmm. What I have got a problem with is with this game. I could overlook some of the mechanical failures. I could overlook some of the puzzles that were my frustrations around the puzzles. Right, if the story shines through, then I think you can overlook a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. We're all big fans of Life is Strange, yet some of the puzzles in that are either piss weak or boring. But we can look through that stuff if the story shines through, if the character shines through, and it absolutely doesn't in this. And the fact that I've seen quite high scores from certain outlets is absolutely baffling to me. I don't get it. I'd like to sit down and talk to them about it, because I'm not stupid enough to think that my opinion is right and everyone should have this opinion, and if you like this game you're wrong. That's not how I think about things. But I would like to sit them down and go, well, what did you find enjoyable about this? And if you say the story, please explain the story to me then, because when I had this, the story is a little bit confusing at the end. You don't really know what's happened, but when you go and read the theories, like say for example Inside, right? Uh-huh. That was a game that came out with a really bizarre narrative, environmentally pushed narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And by the end of it, you didn't really know the full story. But reading the theories was great, because you could go, okay, that theory is different to this theory, but you can put it together and go, that works, and that works too. I don't know which one I feel that I'm more warming up to, but they both work. Whereas when you're reading theories of this, you're going, well, no, that doesn't work because that, and that doesn't work because this. So what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I really want an official kind of explanation about what the story actually is. And I don't care if it's like, well, we want the listener or the player to determine what they thought. I don't want that. I want it to say, tell me what the story is. I've enjoyed reading in YouTube comments and whatnot, people's theories about, oh, actually this means this, and like I said earlier, that's why I enjoy in media in general. But I want to know what the actual story is, so I could try and determine what I think my opinion is of that, because it's just bonkers. And then you get there's a possible alternative ending. I mean, I think there are actually a few endings, but there's like the first one you do when you finish the game, and there are other opportunities to have another ending, and that one doesn't explain it either. Like, well, this just, if anything, it makes it worse. But what I will say is, right, I mean, overall, I actually feel like I really enjoyed the loop aspect, and I know it's basically felt like it's more of a war of attrition than playing like a really cleverly put together game where you feel like you have lots of options in front of you, and actually, no, I did this in that area, this in this order, and we came to the same solution. I feel like this game is not that. I mean, maybe there are people out there who did things in different orders or different ways, but for me, I thought, wow, there's loads of, in just 2 or 3 rooms in this flat, there are lots of opportunities to do things in different orders, different ways, and I just felt like, actually, no, they're all just red herrings, and actually everyone's just been funneled down the same path. Like,
that's it.
Basically, there are like these vents in the house, right, which you can undo, and there's like an opportunity to put something in the vent. I'm like, oh wow, okay, right. What's going to happen here is, in the first loop, I'm going to open the vent, I'm going to put something in the vent, and in the second loop, I'm going to be able to get that thing, which I've only been able to access because I put it in the first loop. Huh?
Why did you think that?
Because you have information from one loop to the next. So I thought, maybe it's like maybe it's a cool mechanic whereby if I hide this in the first loop, in the second loop I can get it where ordinarily I wouldn't be able to because it's been moved.
Doesn't that ruin the whole idea of the time loop, though, Matt?
Well, no, I thought they would be clever with it and allow me to like change things because
that's not clever.
Because I know, but the main character knows the loop's happening, right? So I thought, okay, could I affect the future by putting things in vents, moving things around, and that would allow me to do things in the future that I wouldn't be able to do ordinarily. No, it's not that kind of game.
In the idea of a time loop, you're going back in time, not forward in time.
Yeah, the only thing that carries through is the main character's awareness. Like, all the physical things have to revert.
Yeah, but when I saw the events, I thought, okay, maybe it's this kind of game. It's absolutely not that kind of game. It's just really...
the time loop field doesn't extend into past events.
Just imagine that. At the end of the first Groundhog Day, Bill Murray's taking the piano up to his bedroom because he thought, well, I'll wake up in the morning and yes, it'll be a new day, but at least I don't have to go to the piano class down the road now.
Well,
I can just play in my bedroom in the hotel.
Okay, does it allow me to make changes in this loop? Anyway, that's not the case. In fact, all the events are basically bollocks. You can put things in events. What's the point?
I don't know. But you're right.
That annoyed me. The fact that, your wife has an announcement. She just made dessert. Where's the other courses? That doesn't make sense. It's like there's. I mean, also there's. Okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing now. I've got this person in this position. I've got this item on me. I'm going to be able to execute this perfectly because I feel like, given what I know and what I can do in certain orders, I can be really clever. And if I do things in certain times, that means I have this. I mean, I was basically working at every kind of connotation about, okay, if that person is dead or if that person's tied up and that person's just knocked out, do they wake up? If they're tied up but just knocked out, what does that mean? No, it's not none of that stuff where I'm really trying to be clever about the situation. That doesn't matter. There's just one way to do it. And
I started this conversation being embarrassed that I had to look it up on a walkthrough and Matt didn't. But now listening to how Matt viewed this, the ideas that he had in his head, I'm actually quite glad that I needed a walkthrough to get through this.
Do crazy stuff, so I worked out so many permutations around whether I can knock someone out or the order in which to do stuff to enable me and the other person to be lucid versus the other person. Apparently all that was just pointless anyway, and you just have to do it a certain way. But I thought it'd be a bit more creative, a bit less linear. Turns out it's extremely linear. There was bits where I'm like, okay, well, I've done this and this. Surely the conversation will allow me to progress in a certain way. But no, even though I'd done certain things and learned certain bits of information, my character didn't then say, aha, but no, that didn't happen. It was just, at
least give me some idea of what I'm trying to achieve to progress.
I think you're totally right with that. I hadn't really twigged, but like so many games of... Sometimes a lot of games it's not about how you succeed. You basically learn to succeed through failing. And this is absolutely that. But you're not only do you have to find out where to go by failing, you have to work out where to go having not being told where you're even going. So not only you've got to go to B, and so you try loads of failings around A and you eventually get there. You don't even know what the end goal is, really. I mean, things are happening, you need to try and stop. No, you can't stop them. You can kind of just move around them. Yeah, and all that aspect, maybe I expected too much of the game. Maybe I thought it was a bit more creative than it actually was. Maybe I thought it's a little bit less linear than it was. But having said that, but I did enjoy the various loops. Okay, well, that one failed. I'm going to try this next time. Ultimately, I was disappointed because all my creative executions on these various different loops didn't work out, and it was just, no, you just do that, and so on.
It's literally like, that scene in Groundhog Day where he's trying to flirt with his producer, Sean.
It's been too long since I've seen it, but go on.
But there's a scene where Bill Murray is trying to flirt with his producer in a bar, and he goes up and he says, I always drink to good health. And then she looks upset and says, I always drink to world peace. And then it cuts, and he's back at the bar again and goes, well, I always drink to world peace. Oh, so do I. Oh, what are you reading? A book about poetry. And he sort of just looks down, and next he's reading a poem from the book, off the top of his head and stuff like that. quick cuts, it keeps showing him how he's progressing through that conversation. Imagine that scene where you then had to see him get up, do his, get ready, go to the bar, go through his day, get ready to go to the bar, then fail again, and then, oh God, wake up again, get ready. That's how the game felt to me. It was just, it was just ridiculous. Yeah, it really bummed me out. And I think ultimately, as I said at the start of this, I don't like just going for games. There's been accusations of pylons and all this sort of stuff. Everyone's just gunning for it. And I don't like to be part of that. I genuinely don't.
Well, because we were really excited about this. We should point that out. Like, we were really looking forward to this. Like,
that's it.
I think I've said recently, like, like Nu had mentioned recently, there's been ages since I've played anything that like she can sit and watch with me, and I was like, mate, this is it. This is fucking it.
Yeah.
12 minutes is going to be great. We'll sit down and we'll play it together. And probably just won't now.
But Sean, I still think you should still play it. I think it would work well as a 2-player game. I mean, you might not be like enamored with how it ends and whatnot, but I still think it'll be an enjoyable experience with two of you, especially if you're interested in trying to find a game where you can both kind of play and it's a narrative-led game. It has its issues, sure, but I don't regret playing it. I mean, the story was not good, and I was disappointed with maybe my preconceived ideas were just different to how the game played out. But I'm glad I played it.
So why are you glad you played it?
Because I enjoyed trying to work out what the way to solve the loop was. I thought that was good. Okay, well, I mean, admittedly, most of my creative executions weren't the way to do it. It was actually just one very particular narrow path. But I thought, okay, I failed that one. How about I do this next time and do that in a certain order? Grab this, move this. What are my opportunities if I do this first? I enjoyed trying to work out what the executions could be if ultimately the final execution was actually kind of underwhelming, but I enjoyed the aspects of that to the point where actually I've bought Overboard now, which I know you played a bit, Sean, because I wanted a bit more of like I enjoyed the loops, but the story, I felt totally let down by the story, and it wasn't a satisfying ending or satisfying conclusion to the game overall. But the actual mechanics, although they need a lot of work in the things we just mentioned, I enjoyed the aspect of trying to determine what the right way is to go through a loop, even if ultimately it wasn't as creative as I would have hoped.
So let me ask you, Sean.
Yep.
Is Nushin into mechanics?
Not really.
Well, then I would go against Matt's advice and say definitely do not play this.
No, I mean, I say that. Like, we've had a really good time. I've mentioned there's these like escape rooms you can do at home, right? They're like in like escape room in a box. Like we've done quite a few of those. That they've been really good fun. So I suppose she is up for like doing puzzles, but I don't know. It sounds like it might be too irritating.
It's pretty terrible.
I mean, probably.
Also, there's some really horrible stuff in there. There's some genuinely horrible stuff in there that you have to do to progress.
Oh, really?
That made me just feel rough. Things that you have to just watch and things that you have to hear and stuff. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate it. It wasn't what I thought, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah. I didn't get on with Overboard, but it does very much sound like Overboard does a better job of letting you play. So, like, time doesn't progress until you do stuff, right? So you're not constantly like, oh, fuck, and now I've got 3 seconds to do this or whatever. Like, you can plan it meticulously and then play it out at your own pace when you do know what to do. And I think it sounds like Overboard does a better job of, like, you can fast forward back to a certain point in the story, right? Once you start a loop again.
See, this you basically have to try and find a way to fail. I mean, I do that loads. So I'm like, okay, fuck this. I'll just walk out of the apartment because that restarts it. I did that loads.
Yeah.
Because
that's not all you got. There's other ways to restart it, isn't there?
Yeah, there are, but I felt that was always the quickest way, just to walk out the front door.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually, seeing as you're in that room most of the time anyway. Look, I'm glad you got something out of it, Matt. I think ultimately that was it. I think you were bang on, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt really disappointed is the word, because I was really excited by this. I love time loop stuff. I really do love time loop stuff. The idea of what that gives you the options of doing is fun, and finding out how you can manipulate a timeline just by doing simple actions is a really exciting one. I like the style of the game, I like the look of the game, and everything seemed to be pointing me towards, potential Game of the Year stuff, and I suppose that's my own fault for getting that hyped up for it.
Oh right, but, I never had that in my mind. I saw the trailer and thought, okay, this is interesting, but I never even considered the idea of this being. I didn't really have a preconceived idea about whether it's going to be good or bad. I just was interested in the concept.
It's not that. It's just the fact that the themes and the settings seem so perfect for me, and right up my street. But ultimately, I was left feeling completely cold, not only by the gameplay but also by the plot. So that's why I've had such a negative reaction to it. I
thought it was interesting and worked well. The fact it was just overhead. The fact you couldn't see the characters' expressions. Not only obviously that stuff
was great.
Not only that saved on kind of like budget of the game, but also the fact that you couldn't see if they were happy or sad or pissed off, and you just had to kind of take it from the dialogue, which I thought was an interesting way of doing it. But
also, if you're doing puzzles where I have to get to something, don't have that another character stand in the way of it. Because sometimes I was like, just get out of the way, please. Or if I click on that object, make sure that character moves out of the way as my character strolls up to it, because this is extremely frustrating. But anyway, that's probably
Dave,
enough.
If you like time loop games, may I recommend Outer Wilds?
I was going to say...
I'm probably going to play Hitman again, because that is, for me, the perfect representation of a time loop game. That is what I want.
In that it isn't one.
Well, it is one, though, isn't it, Sean?
I know what you mean.
You do exactly the same thing. You go into that level with information that you've taken from a previous run, and you take that. The consciousness is all in your head rather than the character's head. But you do know that, hey, there's a fireworks display going on at this time, going in during the second run. So you find out how to manipulate that to kill someone.
Yeah, because it's a set of variables that all play out in an identical sort of clockwork way every time, apart from you. You're the sort of the agent of chaos among it, and that's sort of where it gets interesting. But like Outer Wilds, which, hold my hand up, didn't finish it, but I know I should. That does such a good job, because that's it's very rare that you have like a fully wasted loop in that, right? You can just go off and investigate something
about something, and it feels there's multiple planets in like a 21-minute loop. Like, how can I possibly see everything, learn everything? But you play so many loops, you learn little bits of each planet, and that ultimately all links together to form one giant picture. And also I love space, but my God,
for me, I think I'm not getting into my problems with that game. But let's move on, because you get the idea what we think about this game, and I always feel really sad when we're all negative about the same game. But
it's not a good feeling.
I'm sad that James isn't here, because I know he's got loads of points as well. So we'll definitely have to come back to this next week when James is here. Pretty much what I said.
We had a long conversation about it over the weekend. I mean, he came over on Saturday night, sort of as our last little meet up before he moves away, and we had a good long chat about why we didn't like that game. So I think we covered. It was funny when we first started talking about it. He seemed very positive on it, and I was very negative. And I thought Monday's going to be a nightmare when we go into this game. But then he slowly worked it out. He came over to my way of thinking for once, and we ended up agreeing about it. We also watched. I don't know why I'm dropping this in here, but we also watched them. Have you seen Elstree 1976 or 73? What is it? 1973?
Oh, no idea.
About the filming of the original Star Wars film and all the it's a really weird documentary, but they've just whacked it up on Prime. It's included with your Prime sub. And it's a documentary about the background actors, the supporting actors and the extras from that original Star Wars film, about their lives, how it was affected by Star Wars and what they're doing now. And it's a weird documentary. It needed an editor. It's probably an hour's worth of good stories with 45 minutes worth of stories that they just chucked in for literally no reason. Some of them you're sitting there going, why is that even in? But I don't know. If you're interested in that stuff, watch that, because James and I were laughing throughout at the bitterness of some of the actors being furious that the extras had bigger queues at the There was one Sean that was like, "You actually see my face in Star Wars. You don't. He's got like a helmet on, and he's got queues around the block." So maybe it is worth a watch. Actually, we were laughing a lot. Anyway,
That sounds good.
The other game I've been playing this week is I quickly played Faraday Protocol.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll tell you what happened. We have a string of emails from PR companies and stuff. A lot of indie games because we cover a lot of indie games. And we saw this one, and occasionally very often I read the PR information about a game that comes in, and this one, it just like I've not played. I always tend to play a game like this once a year, and always tend to enjoy them. And it is, the Portal. The what was the one that we really liked last year, Sean? The perspective one.
Superliminal.
Superliminal. It's a puzzle, a first-person environmental based puzzle game where like I was hoping that the marquee or the marquette was going to be the one for me this year that came out on the PS5 early on. On PS Plus, and I hated it. Well, this one's a little bit more interesting, I think. It's the plot is you land on a planet and you find all these sort of ancient Egypt style structures everywhere, and then you pick up this weird energy gun, and you finally find yourself in these weird trials, these puzzle trials. And so far, it's all very basic puzzling. Like you move this block here, you move this item here, you push, you connect these two things together, and then you get through to the next chamber. But in the hour or so that I've played that, I've had way better time than I have played 12 minutes. But I'll talk about that more next week when hopefully I've worked my way through it. But I just wanted to give that a shout out because I've not seen anyone talk about this game, and I like these sort of first person puzzle games. So hopefully this one holds up and the story gets a little bit more interesting. But I'll report back on that next week. Matt, have you got anything else to talk about?
Yeah, so I hate sold Skyward Sword.
Oh, really?
What do you mean?
I mean, in a moment of hatred, I just said, this is fucking leaving the house now. We're not playing it anymore.
Right, what happened?
Well, Elodie and I have been playing it, fairly regularly, and then she'll play and enjoy it, and then she'll say, oh, it's a bit, can you do this bit? Because it's a bit kind of complicated. And it's mostly because we're using, either using the controller controls and, using the stick I didn't really get on with, or we're using motion controls. And it got to a point where we got to a boss, and I was like, this is bullshit. Or either control system was bullshit. I'm saying this. Right, fuck this, right?
What boss?
It was in the first temple. Actually, wasn't even the boss. It was... Actually, no, it wasn't even a boss. It's basically just like hanging kind of Venus flytrap enemies, and I was like, I cannot be fucked playing this. This is awful. I'm done. Right? I don't give a fuck about this game anymore. Right? So earlier that day, we had played. Was it 51 all-time classics?
Yeah.
We
enjoyed it when it came out. We played a bunch of those games, and we also played bowling. And we enjoyed it, and the whole time I was just like, the classic person who played a better game elsewhere. Like, this is rubbish, Elodie. It's just, honestly, you will not believe, Elodie, how good Wii Sports is. This is rubbish. This is rubbish. And even she was like, it's basically, she was swinging the Wii remote. It wasn't. They were like, no, you got to hold that away, do this, let go. And I was like, so I hate sold Skyward Sword. I was like, Elodie, get your jacket on. We're selling this game and we're going to buy a Wii now. And we did it. Right. She got a coat on. I packaged up Skyward Sword and we went to our local CX Emporium and we bought a Nintendo Wii. How
much was it?
The Wii itself was 20 or 30, 20 quid, I think, 20 quid.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, actually, I don't know. It could be more. Who knows? Right? Because I PyX that game. Either way, right. I bought a Wii. I was like, give me an extra Wii controller. Give me Wii Sports.
That shit ain't even got HDMI, is it?
I was going to say. You need a fucking SCART socket on your telly.
I went to thing. I was like, okay, brilliant. I want your Wii. I want Wii Sports. I want Wii Sports Resort, and give me that Wii Play because that's only like a $5. Extra Wiimote. Let's go. And then I got to Till, and I was like, oh, hang on, this this fucking thing doesn't have an HDMI, does it? And he's like, no, it doesn't. I was like, HDMI adapter? He's like, nope. So I had to wait
Do not have
24
component?
hours.
Yeah, did they not give you?
No, it came with the SCART thing, and my TV does not have whatever. My TV does not have the things it came with, basically.
Yeah, okay.
So I bought this like a little tiny adapter on Amazon for like $5. That came next day, and we eventually played Wii Sports. Before we go to Wii Sports, I bought Wii Sports Resort because I haven't really played it before. I was like, this is awesome. No, it turns out you absolutely 100% need Wii Motion Plus.
Wii Motion Plus,
I have not played that yet.
Yeah.
But Wii Motion Plus is like a $5. I think $5 per like module type thing. So I'm going to buy a couple of them.
You get the ones built in, the Wii Motes with Motion Plus built in.
You can,
Well, the Wiimotes I got with my particular Wii did not come with that built-in. But yeah, either way,
but what I'm saying is that, okay.
I'm going to buy either Wiimotes with built-in, or I'm going to buy Wii Motion Plus. I'm going to buy the jackets, I'm going to buy the straps, whatever it takes. I want to play it because I obviously love Wii Sports and didn't play Wii Sports. How much Wii Sports Resort did you guys play, and how did you feel about it?
A fair bit. Yeah,
So,
I really liked it. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's still, it's got some good... The archery was brilliant in it.
So I don't think... I never played Resort. I played the Wii U one, which... Was that just Wii Sports U? I think it was.
Yeah, I think
which is really fucking good. But yeah, no, I never played Resort.
All right. So yeah, we got that for like another £8 or whatever, but I couldn't play that, and I'll buy the Wii Motion Plus. But what we play... obviously, back in the day, everyone bought they got a controller basically with it, or it was a custom controller, and you got that game with it.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I was like,
can I just say, everyone stop emailing in. It was Wii Sports Club on the Wii U, not Wii Sports U. Sorry,
was it? Can you buy each game mode piecemeal on the Wii U?
Yes, you could, couldn't you? And then it was like, but it's a little bit of a discount if you buy all of them or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Weird.
that's right.
Yeah, sorry, Matt.
So yeah, we play. I forgot that back in the day you had to play every game one at a time before you unlocked all of them. You don't
that's right, yeah.
So I was like, oh, brilliant. I remember there being a pool game melody. Oh, no, wait, that's like 8th or 9th game in. We've got to play this fucking duck hunt game first. Anyway, we played a bit of that. It wasn't as good. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what any of this shit cost, right? The important thing is I've got Wii Sports back in the house. And let me tell you, Wii Sports is still absolutely incredible. So many years later. It still feels amazing. Bowling feels amazing. Tennis is immensely fun. Golf is brilliant. Baseball's brilliant. It's one of the all-time great games, isn't it? When I was playing 51 all-time classics, I was like, Elodie, it's just not as good. A part of me was thinking, oh, actually, Matt, maybe you're misremembering it. Maybe, actually, at the time it was good, but actually playing now it would be rubbish. Maybe it shouldn't be, maybe this is what actually Wii Sports was like, but back in the day it felt new. No, it's totally different. You can put a spin on it. It feels good. It feels natural. It wasn't like Elodie, hold that button, let go here, swing here. She just press that and swing, and it just worked. And I'm so glad we got Wii Sports back in the house. We went away for a couple of weeks, obviously on holiday, but we played it pretty much every day, apart from the days where obviously we were away. A boxing is knackering, but I also bought nunchucks, so we played it at boxing. But tennis is still immensely fun. Like I was playing like one-player tennis when Elodie was out the other day, and I was like, we had like a really great game with a computer player. Wii Sports is just absolutely incredible. I'm so happy. That it's not just my memory of, it was good back in the day. No, it's still fucking good. It's 2021. It's still a great game. What a game.
This is the most dad you've ever been.
What a game. It's in the house. I'm so glad. But I want to try Wii Sports Resort because I need to get Wii Motion Plus. But yeah, Wii Sports, brilliant. I'm so glad I hate sold that Skyward Sword.
Just to check, does Elodie agree with you, or is she just like, yeah, all right?
No, she's not interested in the slightest.
I don't know. I haven't really asked her.
That was really funny.
Not about her.
Dad, I'm really enjoying this Zelda game. No, we're taking it back to the shops. What, to get Breath of the Wild? No, we're getting a Wii.
But Daddy, I can do the control. Shut up.
You don't know what it's like. I think I am going to buy Breath of the Wild because I think
absolutely buy a Breath of the Wild.
I think
if she was enjoying that Zelda game,
actually,
then my god,
her first game was the remake of Link's Awakening on Switch. That was the first game she properly kind of picked up a controller to play, and then I was like, okay, now this is like your first 3D Zelda. But no, I was thinking again. When I was playing that, we were playing it together, and she was like, it's a bit awkward and this doesn't work. I'm like, again, this is shit compared to Breath of the Wild. We'll buy that, and I'm sure we'll have a great time before the sequel comes out. But But one thing my Wii did come with, which I didn't know at the time, I was obviously I kind of remember these ports and whatnot.
I just remember this, yeah.
And yeah, I lift up one of the flaps and I was like, it's got an SD card in it. Like,
oh no,
what the fuck is it? I mean, first thought it was porn. I don't know why. I guess I see any sort of USB thing. I'm like, it's someone's probably put porn on this. No, I turn the Wii on, obviously, and then there's the homebrew channel, which having never kind of investigated stuff ever before, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I mean, I still haven't really because I've been away, but yeah, whoever sold CX left their SD card in it. There's a homebrew channel on it. I assume I can, download and install things. I haven't investigated that bit yet. I also, there's like an update for the Wii console, which I'm not going to do because I assume if I do that, maybe things will break. Who knows? But yeah, possibly, it came with that. I went to the Wii shopping channel because I wanted to hear that music. Obviously, it's on YouTube, but I can't because I need to update the console to do that. So that's annoying. We created our Mii's, which was fun. Yeah, it's just good. Wii Sports is still fucking brilliant. I mean, I've wanted a Wii Sports on Switch, sorry, for so long.
We're still talking about Wii Sports.
No, because it's an incredible game. But I wanted it on Switch. So I'm like, oh yeah, wasn't Wii Sports good? But no, I'm happy to say it's still great, and I'm excited to see what Wii Sports Resort is like. I mean, it would just be that one game, probably, maybe those two, but who cares? Still good. Cool. What else? Also, I started Fantasian Part 2. Fantasian is the Mr. Walker JRPG from the team who originally, I guess, worked on or created Final Fantasy. It's an Apple Arcade game. The first game came out earlier this year. I put like 20 hours into it. I think it's like a 10-hour game in classic me fashion. And this Part 2 is out now, and they say this is actually a 40 to 60 hour game now in Part 2. Part 2, I say, is more quest-based, whereas the first one was much more story-led. So I'm excited to see what it's like. I started playing it, and I played it using my Razer Kishi, my phone into it. And there wasn't like... When I started playing it, it just kind of brought me back exactly where I was at the end of Part 1. But Part 1 ends, and then once you kind of see credits, you kind of go back to like the save point prior to the final boss, basically. But it saves that you killed the final boss, but it's kind of just before it, in case you want to do it again. So I started, I'm like, okay, brilliant. And there's going to be like a huge cutscene. It'll say Fantasian Part 2. So excited. Let's go. And I started the game and, I continued my save. And it's just like, okay, you're here now in this last area. I'm like, do I have to kill the boss again? Like, there's no where do I go? So I just like wandered around, and I had to like kill. But basically, rather than you going into random battles, you can send all the enemies you see in a potential random battle into like the dimension is what I call it, and then you basically have to fight everyone at once, rather than you having random kind of battles across the map. So I suddenly had. I was already on like 39 out of 40, so I hit one enemy, suddenly had like a 40-person battle, having not played the game for months and months. I finished that, and then I just wandered around a bit, and I think I basically kind of found the start of Part 2. But there was no big fanfare, there was no big kind of cutscene and explanation and story. It just really is literally carrying on from where Part 1 ended. But no, I'm excited to see more because I really, really enjoyed Fantasian. I thought it was brilliant. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I assume there is like an exclusivity period of some sort on Apple Arcade, but when it comes to other consoles or Switch, whatever, I reckon it'll do incredibly well because I really, really enjoyed what I played at Part 1. And this is obviously way, way, way bigger, like 3 or 4 times the size of the first part. But I've started that again. Excited to see where it goes. And that's pretty much it. Really, for me.
All right. James.
James is dead, not here.
Oh, yeah. Sean. Sorry.
So was that a gag? Or were you...
No,
okay.
It wasn't. It was me that I've not slept. Go on.
Ever. Hi. I've been playing Arcsmith on the Oculus Quest, which I think is the only thing it's on. I don't think it's...
it's exclusive, for now.
Yeah. So this is it's a Bithell game. It's a Mike Bithell game.
Sean, aren't you officially supposed to say it's a Biffle joint?
It's Bithell joint. So I'm a big fan of... weirdly, I've not played any of his sort of more recent, like, bigger games. I've still not played John Wick Hex, even though I should. I never played... What was the other one? The stealth one that they did?
What was that called?
Volume. Was that them?
Volume, that's it, yeah. That's it, that's what
never played that. But I really like the sort of the Bithell shorts, as they're known. So Subsurface Circular and then Quarantine Circular, just these really interesting sort of choose your own adventure, just like really good little essentially science fiction novels, but with, some interactivity and stuff. They're really cool. So I was intrigued by this. It's a game. It's a VR game where you sit at a desk and you build things out of little cubes. You're on this space station in the future. And you just sort of been hired as this apprentice, and you just like literally all it is you're sitting at this desk. You've got like this one monitor to one side which tells you the orders that have come in, and you can be like, right, someone needs like a like a cooling device, or someone needs a fucking like a little solarium for growing plants in or whatever, and then it gives you. So you click on one, and then it gives you like the pieces that are sort of unique to that device that you're trying to build. They'll sort of appear on your table, and then there's all sorts of like standard parts, right? And basically, the gist is you've got to build the thing with ideally as few parts as possible. So it'd be quite easy to build something that uses way too many parts, but the joy is in trying to do it in sort of a minimalist way. The trick is. That obviously you have to, everything has to be sufficiently powered, but you also can't overpower things or else they blow up. But equally, everything, like every battery and every component that's switched on also generates heat. So then you need heat sinks, but they block electricity. And because you're putting everything together in sort of like these 3D cube shapes, which all have different like attachments on them and stuff, you're trying to figure out like the most efficient way to like get these devices to work. And it's kind of it sounds quite complicated, but it takes the Minecraft approach of like everything you build is made up of these little cubes, right? But it's fine, because if it was any more complex, you just get really pissed off with it. I did read some reviews saying it does get like really a bit silly. Like you'll get really frustrated trying to figure out solutions and stuff. I mean, I haven't yet. I haven't finished it, but I've built some what feels like fairly complex things, and it's all sort of more or less made sense. You have like this little tool as well that sort of acts as like a thermometer and a voltmeter, right? So you just sort of you point it at components in this thing that you're building, and it shows you like, right, well, here's how much current is going through it, and here's how much like how hot it is, and then sort of and you can look like, right, well, hang on, that can withstand like a heat of like 5, and it's currently going up to 3 and then 4, and then so you sort of constantly monitoring these things and trying to figure out where the problems are and rearranging stuff, and it's fucking lovely. I really love it. It's
sorry, where are you playing this on?
The Quest.
Right,
the Quest. Yeah. I don't know if you remember. So I talked a while ago about a game called Cubism, which was literally just trying to, just put in like blocks together to make little shapes. And I remember thinking like, God, I wish is there a way this can be my job? Like just this weird, like I'm just sitting here solving problems, right? And it just feels good. And it's like, this is essentially that, but it is like, obviously, it's like in universe, like it is a job that you are doing. And it just feels nice, because you're sitting in this workshop and you're doing this stuff, and there's just like bits going on around you. So there's this guy, this other character who's this, seasoned veteran engineer. And like he's got a whole backstory which becomes quite interesting as time goes on, and there's a little robot that's like whizzing around, and there's just really lovely bits. Like you'll just be he's got like a radio on all the time, and occasionally like you'll just be building stuff and he'll start humming along to the radio, and then the robot will come in and start like doing a jig and singing along as well and stuff, and it's weird, like like I don't necessarily miss working in like my office, but I do miss like being around people while I am working, right? And just there being an atmosphere rather than it just being me in my living room. And this just gave me a bit of a taste of that again, and it was quite nice. Like you're just sitting opposite someone else who's also doing like similar work to yours, and then every time you build something, he'll like pass comment on it, and then he'll chat to you for a bit, and there's and the story progresses in a bit, and it's cool. It's just a
Does
really
it get awkward
nice.
after a while? Did you start then detesting some of the people that were doing the same job as you?
Yeah, he starts chewing too loudly and doesn't do as much work as me, and keeps taking my stuff out of the fridge. But yeah, no, it's just a really.
You're not the only one with a kid, mate. Stop going on about it.
Yeah, just absolutely delightful atmosphere to it. It's been really nice. Yes, that was Arcsmith. I've also. It's a shame to discuss this while James isn't here, but I've finished Axiom Verge 2. It's fucking great. It's really good. I mean, the only thing I was
tweeting about.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to what James was saying last week is it's just interesting in that the combat is fine, but it really doesn't feel like the point of this one. It just becomes I mean, this is true to an extent with all Metroidvanias, but it's the world itself is the puzzle, right? And it's just like this mad puzzle box. Like every ability you get, you like straight away you're like, oh shit, that completely, like, rather than it just being like, oh, this will let me go through this color door, it's like, fuck, that completely rewrites my thinking about how I'm getting around and the areas I can now get to and stuff. And but to explain how it does that would sort of spoil it, right? It's one of those. I mean, especially if you played the first game, it takes concepts from that and just sort of spins them out even further and in really interesting ways. And I fucking really enjoyed it. So yeah, good game. But that's it from me this week.
Right, and that's what we've been playing this week. So should we get into the questions?
Yeah. If you want to contact us, go to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. Gabby Peartree says, if you had to spend 12 minutes trapped in a loop with one other TCGS member, who would you choose and why?
Easy.
Yeah?
Easy.
Yeah?
Easy. James Farley.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all sorts of stuff I'd try. First of all, I'd try and see if I could, get him to kill me. I think I probably could.
I reckon
I could wind him up. 12 minutes of constant winding him up. He'd kill me.
Yeah.
But then also I'd flirt with him just to see what happened. Just to see how he'd react to that situation.
Okay.
Just walking butt naked. Just to see what he does. I love... my favourite thing about James is trying to work out how he reacts to things. That's my favourite thing. Just either bringing up an argument and seeing how he reacts to that. That's why I'm constantly saying things like, right, you've got to invent 5 flavours of Ben & Jerry's. Because I know the answer's going to be better than anyone else. He's just... for instant reactions like that, it'd be brilliant. And to have that on a time loop. And James, I know this sounds like hell to you, but remember, you'll only remember one of those 12 minutes. The rest of the time, you'll forget it, so you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But I had so much stuff I'd like to do. Trust me, I could sit here for ages thinking about what I could do to James in 12 minutes.
You see, I think no
consequence.
I'd probably have to go for James as well, purely because at the start of every 12 minutes, I could just go, right, James, we're in a time loop, mate. And he'd go, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No further explanation required.
That's one of the things you need to do in 12 minutes. You need to convince your partner that you're in a time loop, right? And it'd be easy for James.
Yeah.
James, time loop? Yeah, we're in one of those. Right, righto.
Okay. and do you know the first thing you would say every time? You just go, don't tell me how many loops in we are.
Could you imagine that? Opening the door, seeing James Farley there, and just standing there going for 12 minutes straight. Oh God, I'd love to see how he reacted to that. I might just do that anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Should.
If I cut Yeah, if I cut out the... Yeah, I think I'll do that. Next time I see him, I'll just pretend that I'm in a time loop. Go on. Matt, what's your answer?
I mean, I guess it would be James. I mean, I will say the Starball naked thing, it didn't work out well when I went to see the Palace game with him. I actually...
What?
No, I was joking. I mean, I was implying I was on a train and we were naked.
It sounds like you weren't joking and then you said it was a joke.
Why is James Farley's farewell tour included everyone but me? Just out of interest.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And you had the fact that Matt went to Chester Zoo and didn't knock on your door.
I know, I'm starting to get paranoid.
It's okay, it's fine. Well, you could have come to the football,
well, that's
Sean.
you convinced then,
Yep.
Sean.
Sean,
Yep.
we invited everyone to the football.
That's true.
Matt, no, you actually didn't invite Sean.
No, I did. We put it in the group and said, hey, who wants to come?
Yeah, could you imagine that, though? Sean ended up with a Chelsea membership.
You can put it in the bin
Try
afterwards.
explaining that
Do whatever
away.
you want with it. It's great.
Okay. All right. James is the ultimate answer.
James
isn't it?
is always the ultimate answer.
I mean, I'd love it with Capone Adam as well, but if we're sticking to the core four, then yeah, James Farley's the one.
Sean Thomas says, I started Yakuza 0 last month, and whilst I love the characters and tone of the game, I'm finding the combat dull. My heart sank when I learned I was only 3 chapters in. But I'm like James and struggle to put aside a game I've started. So, team, you decide, carry on or bail.
Well, I was in the exact same situation. I didn't like the combat in that game, so I bailed. And there was too much of it.
I was going to say
so that's why I bailed.
Yeah, the combat is not going to stop. So, yeah, if you really not enjoy... I mean, maybe try just sticking the difficulty down to the easiest one and just make it completely negligible.
Yeah, but that was the problem. It's not like I found it hard, Sean.
No, I know,
I just found it a bit dull.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so just making it easier, just make it even more dull rather than. Yeah. It's like just reducing the difficulty. Just make it to to get it to the point where you don't even have to think about it. I'll just mash some buttons till the next cutscene comes on.
Yeah, if the difficulty setting meant that each fight was just 20 seconds long, then fine. Yeah, I'd probably have ploughed through it, but
it didn't.
Because it didn't. I was like, okay, all right, yeah.
How long do these chapters last in Yakuza? How much has he really played?
It's quite a long game, isn't it?
It is a very long game. So yeah, if he's only 3 chapters in, I mean, depends. Obviously, it's one of those games you can put about 200 hours into if you wanted to. I think my final time on 0 was about 50 hours, something like that. 10 of those was managing the cabaret club, which that was a joke. But yeah, like I say, that combat's going nowhere. So if you're really not enjoying it, probably going to have to bail. I mean, I guess that I suppose the slightly unhelpful answer is play like a dragon instead, because it's the same tone and what have you, but it's completely different combat.
Like breathe fire at the screen while you're playing Yakuza, right? Come on, guys.
Yeah,
come on,
Gagman.
That's
I'm
not
good.
Not
really
a good
fumble
joke.
with the controller because your arms aren't long enough. Come on, guys.
They're all claws instead of fingers.
Yep.
Here we go.
Come on, that was a good gag.
Let's
end on that.
Josh Garrity, Gentle Josh, says, what is a petty little thing or element that devs keep putting in games that annoy you, even games you love?
Oh, God, right. This is petty, and I should know it, and we've had this discussion before, and I'm getting away from it now, we're changing the invert thing. But when you're going to camera controls, don't call it X and Y axis, because I always second guess and think... Just look up or down. Do you want that inverted? Yeah, I want up and down inverted. Fine. You don't need to go, do you want the x-axis or the y-axis?
Yeah, just say vertical or horizontal.
I want to play a game, not do mathematics.
Like, I know what horizontal is, right? And I know what vertical is. But when I see the option, I'm thinking, are you saying the axis is vertical or horizontal, or the act of looking up and down is horizontal or vertical? Do you know what I mean? It's that confuses me enough. Just say up or down, left or right. Done. I don't know why you have to go with the axis or the vertical horizontal thing. I just please. And that's that's a personal thing, but you're asking me, and that's my fucking answer. So shove it up your bum hole.
I will. Do you know the thing that bothers me is, so most games, when you boot them up for the first time, by default it highlights new game and continue is grayed out.
Yeah.
So there's two steps to this. Some games that continue isn't grayed out. Some games, when you boot them up for the first time, continue isn't grayed out and it's selected by default. And it's like, fuck you. You just wanted to program that menu once. And then, like, don't get me wrong. Every other time I boot up the game, yes, of course I want continue to be highlighted. But,
you don't see it. You don't see it often these games. But I would say in the PS2 era, there was a lot of games where you boot it up and the default first option would be new game.
Yeah.
And you had to press down and go to load game. And you'd be like, I'd only need new game once. Why are you making me do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're just programming one default, then yes, continue or load game is the one. But it just, some games are reactive, and the ones that aren't, I'm just like, oh, come on. Is it that hard? Is it that?
I've got a couple of answers here.
That was like, sorry, the old, I mean, they changed this a while ago, but the old Call of Duty games that used to have single player as default, like when you launched the thing. And also, fucking the way GTA did it, and I think GTA 5, they added the option in afterwards, but GTA games used to be whatever game mode you played last, that's what you load into.
Yeah.
So it was either multiplayer or single player. So if you were flicking between the two...
Hang on a minute, Dave. You're saying GTA games plural prior to GTA 5. There was only one that had multiplayer. It's GTA 4.
Oh, yeah. No, because Red Dead did the same thing. I'm including that.
I'm including Red Dead. Okay.
That's not a Grand Theft Auto game.
Cheating.
Yes, I found it out. But I remember that. But I think GTA 5 launched with that, didn't it? And then it added afterwards that you could press a button while it was loading to switch to single player. But
which is clever, because obviously that means so it just starts by loading the map. I guess.
The world anyway.
Yeah.
They're very clever people. Very clever people.
Smart. Very smart.
Matt?
Yes, I've got two answers for this. One, I hate it when games give tool tips. Like, you go to a new menu and, like, something pops up saying, hey, this is about this. Or you open a new menu for the first time and, like, maybe, like, you've opened the fact that you've got, like, a skill tree or upgrades. And there's tool tips everywhere. I'm like, let me see what the menu is first, because I don't know what your tooltip means without the context of seeing what the menu does. Like, you give all this information up front. I'm like, well, but let me see what I'm doing, and then maybe give me a tooltip to, like, okay, I understand now. It's when they just bombard
my
you
problem with that stuff.
Like Ratchet and Clank.
My problem with that stuff is that I smash the X button through those tooltips, and they later on go, well, why I don't know how to use anything. Like, if
that's the thing.
I
think it's done in the wrong order. I'm like you. Like, when Ratchet and Clank, when you open, like, the most recent Ratchet and Clank, you earn the kind of skill tree element of the game, and I'm like, don't give me an explanation. Let me see it first, then maybe next time I open it, then there'll be a tooltip. That would make more sense. That stuff does my head in, because I'm just instantly kind of just get rid of it to learn what it is or see what I'm seeing. And
it's a bit like when demos are particularly bad for this, but when games are just like loading screen, here's all the controls.
Yeah,
and you're just like, I don't know what any of this is.
Tell me after I've tried.
Yeah. But the other end of the spectrum, aren't we past the point now where it says, press the right stick to look up and down? Press forward and back to move your character. And I'm like, come on.
I mean, you say that, but like, we are, but
I know,
normal people probably aren't. But then there should be some sort of option there, right? Have you played any of these games before?
And everything has got things, but they're not going to label. They're not going to label that stick.
Yeah, it's not
the other thing that does my head in is when you, and I've just forgotten it. It was tooltips. What was the other one? It's not even important.
I think I know what it is. Can I have a guess at what it was, Matt? Because I better know what it is.
Yeah, just kind of drag it out a bit until I remember what I was going to say. But yeah,
right,
sure.
Okay. So if there are different tabs and loads of like discoverables or unlockables
you
or something.
You fucking nailed it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's notifications in games.
Yeah.
Like the amount of games, and I think Animal Crossing maybe did this. The amount of games, like when you discover, even a game I love, like Outer Wilds did this, right? You discover stuff, and then everything you discover or see or hear or talk to a person, there's like a little red dot or notification, like something to indicate it's a new thing. Like, no, I don't want to see that, because all it means is I'm going to menus and I'm like, select. I'm just like, I'm basically like reading them or clicking them as if I'm reading them just to get them off my screen so I can read them in my own time. Like No Man's Sky did that when you locate a new species of animal or a plant. Loads of games do it. I'm like, stop saying these are new things in a fucking massive menu and loads of stuff. I don't want to see it.
Control's really bad for that as well.
Oh yeah,
even though I really like a lot of the extra stuff in that, it's just but
I think I would be more likely to go and read it. But as it is, I'm just like going through it to like just get rid of the new notification, whatever it is, the new thing to say this is new. Like, no, don't let me read it and enjoy it in my own time. It's like I'm in my email inbox. Like, okay, archive markers. Like, I hate that stuff. Every game does it, and I hate it.
Just reminded me when you're talking about tooltips and stuff. Monster Hunter is really annoying it'll bring up a tutorial. And it's like a few pages of text you have to sort of thumb through, and then when you say like press the button and say, right, I've read this, it then says like, are you sure? And like no is the default. So you're either just mashing the button to get through some of the tutorials, and then it gets to no. Yeah. It gets to like, are you sure? No, and it starts again. I'm like, no, fuck off. No. But then equally, there are times where you're skipping through a tutorial, and then it gets to the end. It's like, you sure? Did you read all that? And you're like, no, I didn't. I'll go back and read it.
I'll read it properly this time.
Caught red-handed. Or you thought, I was just mashing the button, but actually I think there was something important there. I probably should go back and read it. Which is maybe why they do it, but it's still annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for them to tell us what to do before we do it, but also, we're all impatient. Let me see what the thing is first. I'll try and work it out, and then just give me a button and say, just show me that stuff you probably cancelled previously. Because Dave, I think you were mentioning, I've done that thing of like XXXXX. Oh no, wait, what is it? And how can I reread those now?
It's like you kind of
I need them. It's like now I know the context. I want to know what you said, but before that, don't give me a wall of text.
Yeah, it's like ideally, it's like put the player in situations where the thing you're about to teach them, like the inability to do that thing is kind of a problem, but not in a frustrating way, and then go, right, now that you've run into this wall, wouldn't it be cool if you could jump over it? Do you know what I mean?
I want to learn by doing, not just by reading before I know what it is I'm supposed to learn.
The bit in Video Game the Movie where Ed McMillan's talking about Super Meat Boy is, I mean, this sort of example would not work for every game. But he's like, I could have done a tutorial where I explain how wall jumping works, but instead I'm just gonna give you a really big wall. And you're just gonna have to figure out how to do it, and it is very intuitive, so you'll probably do it quite quickly, but you will definitely learn it. Whereas if it's just some text, you might ignore it.
That's true.
Sure. Like learning by doing. I mean, there's bound to be studies where learning by doing gets the stuff into someone's brain quicker than learning by reading.
I think
but when you're talking about complex, when you're talking about complex menu systems and basic, pressing the button, there's a little bit. That's vastly different, isn't it?
Don't give a fuck, mate.
All right, okay, let's move on.
Brad from Iowa says, with all the talk of inverting and using default FIFA controls, I'm just curious if Dave uses the standard Rocket League controls. I started playing a lot of Rocket League with friends during the early pandemic because it was a free-to-play game with crossplay that wasn't a shooter. I've probably logged 200 hours in the last year and I feel like I've hit a skill ceiling. When I look up tips for improving my game, every resource recommends changing from the default controls so that you can easily jump and boost at the same time, and I feel like I'm in too deep to change now. Is it worth the effort to retrain my brain? Appreciate y'all, Brad.
John Denton's going to be furious at me when I answer. But no, I use default controls. The only thing that I have changed are the camera options.
Okay.
So my field of view is much bigger, and my the camera's a lot further away from the car than it is by default. But in terms of like, you can change the roll to the bumpers and all sorts of stuff like that. But I've not touched any of that stuff. I'm at a point now where I've hit a skill ceiling and I've not got the time or well, I've got the time. I suppose I play it pretty much every night at the moment, but I've not got the brain capacity to try and take that next step. Oh God, John's! I could already feel him texting me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I don't know. I'm never going to be like a grandmaster at that game. So I'm quite happy just playing it for fun at this point.
Yeah.
Sean Richens said, re-listen to the 2016 draft and draft and game of the year shows this week, which has prompted a 5-year follow-up question. Murray, are you ever going to do Matt Effect? At this rate, I'll take The Adventures of Captain Sean Shepherd, Turner's Turian Space Tango, or Farley's Space Zone.
Yes, I am. I will do it. I'm just
yes, mate.
I'm just working on some upgrades.
Oh my god!
For my setup, shall we
What do
say?
you mean?
What are you doing?
Just decorating a room, innit? And I'm doing. I've got loads of stuff I want to like do.
But you're going to make it look like a Normandy?
Yes.
Good.
I'm just like I want to upgrade some stuff and do this and do that, and then I'll be ready to stream. But no, I want to get back to it, and I think that sounds like the perfect one to start off on.
Yeah, man.
Confirmation.
It's going to be
Matt is
amazing.
in
I
Matt
reckon
Effect.
sometime in 2022 I'll be there.
Oh, stop it. You get it done before then. Start it next week. Come on, let's get you back. Let's go.
No,
Let's go.
I'm waiting for things to arrive. No, I've
What are you?
No,
What
yeah,
Why are you
yeah,
being
yeah,
so
yeah.
sick?
Yeah,
Why are you
why be
being
so
so
coy
weird
about
about
it?
all this?
Yeah.
No, I'm just I want to incorporate kind of like replays on the stream. I've done like a new highlights video.
Okay.
I need to do another one of them. I'm getting like a new something for my mic. Once it all arrives, I'll get on with it. I'm excited to get started.
What's the something for your mic?
It's a cloud lifter, so I've less gain.
what?
And it's something for XLR mics because I want to reduce my gain for clearer audio and higher volume. So that and some other bits and bobs.
No.
Okay. This is going to be like professional, your BBC quality, isn't it?
I mean, at least.
Get that. All right, cool.
SMW Bend. It's a surprise to hear on TLNA that Dave has never seen Detective Pikachu. Have the rest of you seen it, and would you recommend it to Dave? Personally, I thought it was one of the best video game movies I've seen, although that is a very low bar. We've talked about this before, haven't we?
I'm not avoiding that film. I've just never seen it. I think I started watching it with Harry at one point, but he's not into Pokemon. I'm not particularly into Pokemon, so we never stuck with it. He got a bit bored, but I'm not against watching it. It's just finding the time to sit down and watch it. If Harry's not into it, then chances are we're not going to sit through it. But no, it sounds fantastic. I've got nothing against that film at all. I'm certainly not avoiding it. It's just one of those that it's never been on the table.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it and we watched it as a family. We enjoyed it, but again, none of us are into Pokemon. I mean, like Elodie, I got heavily into Pokemon Go a couple of years ago, whenever it was my second offer. Heavily into it, I got, and so Pikachu is like Elodie knows Pikachu, and we it's Pikachu, so she's into it in as much as that, but and she saw a bit of like Pokemon Go, but she way enjoyed the Sonic movie. Enjoyed that way more than Detective Pikachu. It was fine. It was good. It didn't do much more for me. But again, I'm not really into Pokemon massively, so I guess there's a small barrier there. But it was fine. What do you think, Sean?
We loved it. Yeah, I sat and watched it with Isaac. I thought it was really good.
Cool.
Garrison Savannah says, Hades question. Played a bit on PC, but I've got it back into it majorly now that it's on Game Pass. How many runs did it take you guys to escape? I've done about 15 or so, and the best I've done is the very start of the last area. Does this sound about right, or am I terrible at it? Also wondered what you guys thought of the post-escape stuff. I'd heard there is still loads to do. What did you think? Don't want to push too hard to escape if there's not much to do after. Jesus Christ, if he's consistently making it to the final area by 15...
you've done way better than I did.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think it took me about 30, I think.
Took me about 40 odd, and that was with God mode on. So,
I think it was 30, 32 before I got to the first ending. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. Like, there's still absolutely tons to do once you escape once. So yeah, like the escaping once is not the ending at all. Yeah, well worth cracking on with.
Yeah, I never
What a
escaped.
brilliant game that is.
Where did I get to? What boss did I get to? It was the one. What's the boss after the snake one? It's got the place with amazing music.
Elysium, and then it's...
Yeah, I got there, and I was loving it. I went on something else or whatever. But yeah, I never left, never escaped.
Good game. The best game of 2020, in fact.
Absolutely.
Paul Gascoigne says, "Why I
Wow,
Hey,
okay.
hello.
If you could show one bit of hardware and one bit of software to a 90s version of you, what would be the most impressive? Would it be the latest and greatest thing from today, or something from a bit earlier that's still a huge leap from the 90s, but might be a bit more relatable?"
I mean, well, it's mobile phone, isn't it? Latest mobile phone you got.
I reckon I was going to say VR.
Oh, no, wait, no, mobile phone. Easy.
I suppose, yeah, because
turn around tonight is to go, look, to the internet. I have thought about this before in the past.
Look, it's got the internet. Sorry, the what?
Well, it hasn't got yet, because like you take that back, it's not really going to work in that way. But at the same time, you'll still have some music. Well, you wouldn't have most of it. No, I've still got some albums on my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to even just like look at this, like look at the fucking home screen, and you just swipe up, and yeah, it scans your face. Look, you try it. No, it's not going to work for you. It'll work for me because it scans my face. Look, here's a photo. Look how good that photo looks. You could just zoom in, zoom out. I can edit in on here. You know, all that stuff is absolute. That must be mind-blowing.
I can make a film on this, mate.
Yeah,
make an entire film on it.
And not only that, like taking like AirPods with you, just going. Yeah, you don't have to plug your headphones in. Just pop these little things in.
Yeah,
and you're away.
That would definitely be amazing because we've been watching on car journeys on holidays and listening to Harry Potter, the books. I mean, it's a shame she's a fucking turf, but the books, the audiobooks we were enjoying. And in the films and the books, there's bits where there's art paintings that move. And that's basically live pictures now on our phone. It's kind of mad. Like, wow, imagine a painting that could... Imagine a picture that could move.
Well, we had
long ago.
We had video back then and film in the 90s, Matt.
Well, I'm just telling you what I said in fucking Harry Potter, mate. But it's just like, you know, which is real life, right?
No. we have films of that, Matt.
Yeah, no, but like a picture that moved, but a still picture that moved.
Well, that's not a still picture then.
Yeah, that's just a video.
What I'm saying is live photos now are basically what it seemed like Harry Potter felt like was a science fiction thing back then. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fine.
And by back then, I mean in the fictional time of Harry Potter. Forgot it wasn't a documentary, but we watched a lot of it so recently. So.
All right. Okay, a piece of software. I mean, if it doesn't have to work with if we're treating this as separate things, then it would have to be like the best looking game out there at the moment, right? But what would that be?
Don't know.
Or something technically impressive, like something like Flight Sim. Like
but also even 90s me would have gone, okay, cool, but can I have something better? Like, can I? Have you got something a little bit more?
Shoot anything?
Please? I would probably. Oh God.
It'd be like a God of War. It'll be like an Uncharted, The Last of Us.
God of War, Last of Us, something like that. Yeah, that would be the mind blower, wouldn't it? Probably The Last of Us 2, right? That's the one
in terms
to go
of what
for.
It does, yeah, story wise, yeah.
Or Red Dead.
Yeah, Red Dead. Yeah.
The thing is, because if you tried to show like your child self something that like isn't necessarily realistic, but has like a really strong art style, they'd be like, no, not that good. And you'd be like, no, right? Because in the future,
because you remember,
in the future, we've gone beyond, right? We've got a better understanding now. We know that lighting's more important than textures, mate. All right, so fucking shut up.
But then, could you imagine? Like, in the 90s, you've just seen Mario 64,
Yep.
on the N64, and you go, whoa, and then I pop in and go, look, here's a Switch from Mario Odyssey.
That's the noise he makes when he
Yeah,
enters the room.
that's the sound with Back to the Future, isn't it? When it goes.
Yeah, it's very realistic. I thought mine reflies in the room.
They didn't get the DeLorean MOT'd that year. And there's so much wrong with it. But
the
no, you
DeLorean
turn up
pass
with
an MOT.
I don't think it did it? They were rubbish, weren't they? I'd heard they were rubbish.
No, but like the one from Back to the Future. I don't know if it would
I
technically.
don't remember
mate.
seeing the thing on its window.
Where we're going, we don't need MOTs.
That's the line, isn't it? That's the famous quote.
Not been invented yet.
No, but like, if you turned up with a Switch and Mario Odyssey, that's like, I mean, that game looks way better than 64, and you're playing it in like a handheld.
Yeah, man.
But no, I'm thinking like GTA, the original Grand Theft Auto came out in 97. I mean, imagine showing them any of the recent GTAs, but GTA 5, GTA Online, I mean...
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
I remember Grand Theft Auto, like,
intense.
fucking hell, you can drive around America on this. It's just
Because what'd be
wild.
great is, so you know, if you played the first Grand Theft Auto, and then someone comes from the future and goes, look, this is Grand Theft Auto 5, look, it's amazing, it's 3D, and you'd be like, yeah, but the second Grand Theft Auto is going to be 3D though, isn't it? Nah, no, mate, got some bad fucking news about the future, pal. Right,
It's mad to think there was a GTA London.
yeah, that happened. I wish they'd do that again. That'd be good.
That would be
Proper
good.
GTA London.
Yeah, man.
I'd play it.
Okay, well,
I
that's
wasn't
one
ever
sale.
going to question it, Dave.
That's one sale tick. I mean, but we know someone who works at Rockstar, so if you're listening, tell everyone at back at HQ, that's one sale minimum.
It's a big thumbs up
yeah.
from TCGS. For,
Maybe jump in the next board meeting and say, whoa, if we do a London version, I know at least one sale we're guaranteed.
Yeah.
So like, oh, fucking hell, let's cancel plans, we're doing it.
Well, what's next? Oh, Simon Pell says, evening, guys. Hope you're all well. Mixed.
Yeah.
This question is for David. On the latest Dark Calls, you started to tell a story about a time when someone had to access computer, but the whole how do you kick discussion took over. What's the story?
How to access computer.
That's what it says. That's what it says.
Oh, it was, I remember what this was about.
You remember? That's even more amazing, the fact you remember the access computer story.
How to access computer. Yeah.
It's a bit dull now, but Virgin Media technician had to access my computer. I called them. Don't worry about it. They didn't call me. They had to access my computer to check some settings on my router, which is weird thinking about it now, because can't they do that anyway? I don't know. But they had to access my router. They opened my browser, started typing something in, and the suggestions popped up. And I was like, what? Okay, don't look at those ones. Don't press that link.
Oh, what, like Google autocomplete came up?
Yeah, it totally did that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
they saw all of that.
Oh, dear.
Was not impressed with what I was looking at moments before the call.
Before the days of incognito mode, which you used to buy gifts for loved ones.
I don't use that. So, yeah, I'm an idiot, really. But, okay.
Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS Kombucha, the recent Hitman games let players choose a starting location which allows them to experience different facets of the same level as soon as they're loaded in. What is the most innovative starting area in a video game, or are they all doomed to merely serve as tutorials? Keep filling the world with laughter. Sincerely, Maria.
Oh, God, there's got to be some good answers to this. The most innovative one.
Mario 64's got to be the one.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, no. In terms of innovation, it gives you an area to play in, understand how Mario controls
do a jump,
without any threat.
Can do a jump.
Getting into the
all
castle
sorts
is cool.
Yeah, you can swim a bit.
But go to that tree where you get an extra life. But there's got to be more like sort of special ones where you think, because wasn't the start of one of the Saints Row games? No, because that wasn't the very start of the game, was it? Where you were in that sitcom. Surely breaking out of what was the?
I don't remember.
I never actually played it, but was it Prey or Fear? The one where the objects, they had those weird enemies that turned into objects.
Oh, that's Prey, yeah.
wasn't the opening to that really interesting?
It
where
was,
you
to be
thought you
fair,
were in
yeah,
a
it was
test
proper
area.
good.
And...
The fucking bit where they're like, right, just try and hide yourself in this room. Do you remember that?
No,
So
because I never played it.
Oh, did
Matt,
you not?
You played it, didn't you?
Yeah.
I've played the most recent one, yeah.
So it's implied. So you're taken into this like testing place, and they're like, right, you're going to put you through like a series of chambers, and it very quickly becomes apparent that like they think you should have like powers, and you just fucking don't, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, right, just so you walk into this chamber, and it's in this empty chamber, and there's just a fucking chair in the middle of the room, and they're like, right, just hide yourself. And like just in whatever way feels most natural to you. And of course you later find out it's because like you're supposed to have like the mimic powers, right? You're supposed to be able to copy objects and disguise yourself. But obviously you don't at this point in the game. So like every person who plays it just kind of walks up to the chair and just crouches. And there's all these scientists are watching and going like, is he crouching behind the chair? And it's quite funny, but also just but you're sort of unnerved because you're like, these people clearly think I'm capable of some mad shit, and I'm not. And it's just interesting and funny and clever. Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, I still think like the storytelling in Half-Life when you're on that train, going. I mean, it's not. I mean, innovative. It's. I guess I wouldn't call it that. But
I suppose it was. Yeah. I mean,
I guess at the time,
through the.
Because you were just on that, like, and been, the storytelling was happening around you as you were on that train going into your day at work, which was fascinating back then.
You see the G-Man on that first trip, right?
I was going to say, because there's all sorts of glimpses of.
Yeah, you do see it
Barney,
later on, isn't there?
The old Barney boy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Barney. Barney. I mean, it's not innovative, but I've got to say, was it like Bioshock Infinite? That first like half an hour. Like,
I was going to say,
mate,
it's just going to be the greatest game of all time. Right? And then
the first Bioshock. Do you remember when you played the first Bioshock?
The first one. I mean, like Infinite. I haven't played the first.
Yeah,
one.
I know you mean Infinite, but I'm saying, do you remember the? No,
that first bit, Sean. You'd be mad.
I'll never forgive you for that.
No, I'm kidding.
That hurts me, Sean. We had such a nice conversation about that after we both finished it. And you've turned on it. But the start of the first Bioshock, do you remember? Like you crashed in the water.
Yeah, man.
And then you floated on the water, and you still had your controller down because you're going. This is a cutscene. Yeah. Why is nothing happening? Yeah. Has it glitched out? And then you going, I'm not controlling this. Games don't look this good. But yeah, no, going down into the water city was absolutely incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, stunning.
Has Bioshock been remastered or has it?
I don't think it has.
They released a collection, didn't they?
Okay, I don't think.
I'm sure they did. Yeah, released
with it.
Do you think that's a game that's screaming out for a remaster, redo?
It'll probably happen at some point. I don't think it's screaming out for it though, is it?
Money on the table.
Having not played it, would you say it's an all-time classic?
Oh yeah,
just it was very good back in the day.
Do you know the twist?
Don't know if I do.
Oh my god!
Then play it.
Yeah, man.
The twist is like legendary in that first game.
Yeah,
it's probably one of those things I've heard about and just forgotten about, and
maybe
probably there's a phrase, that would give it away instantly.
Yeah,
but it
is a phrase. Probably. The cake is a lie. Is that it?
Oh
correct.
Man!
Oh God, do you remember that?
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
Fucking hell!
Done.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Took it too far, didn't you? You just couldn't just let it be a nice little game.
I must have told this story before. Jonathan Coulton, who wrote the ending song for Portal, I went to see him live, and fucking hell, the audience was excruciating. It was so bad. So fucking bad.
In what way? What were they doing?
Just, obviously...
Shouting out.
This is me talking, but yeah, just load of nerds who'd had their first beer, and they were just shouting catchphrases from the game the entire time, and trying to be funny, and obviously that song is only one song that he wrote, right? He's not that's not has been his entire career. He had loads of other songs to play, and they weren't interested. They just wanted to hear the Portal song. Oh, it was bad, really bad. MD Kraboffs. So I was very surprised when Kanan Rince's Sega Rally episode lacked insight from Sega fan number 1, Matt Murray. What is the biggest diss you have ever received?
You know what, MD? Me too. Mate.
It's a good episode.
I mean, it's
I
even
didn't
worse.
realise.
It's even worse that I wasn't allowed on the Freeze episode. I'm going to look at how many games of Freeze that I'm up to now. But go on, carry on.
I was just going to say it's a very good episode, and I didn't realise there is no like good way to play Sega Rally now, unless you're delving into emulators, obviously.
Unless I buy a Saturn.
Yeah, I think I just assumed it was one of those. It's like, well, there'll have been like a port at some point that's still decent.
Even
they
the
brought
most
out
recent
one on
one,
360,
the 2016 one, even
but it was
that,
different, wasn't it? Yeah.
Even that was taken off Steam, so you couldn't even get that anymore. I'm sure there are ways around it, but the original. There's not a week that goes by when I don't think I'd love to play some Sega Rally. But yeah,
could you imagine if they didn't have like a straight, just a straight port of the original version on Switch? That's what I want. That would be so good.
Yeah.
So and the other day in CX, I was like, maybe I'll buy a Saturn at £80 to buy a Saturn.
Ooh.
In CX.
I
sure there are cheap ways to do it. I was like, I want to play Sega Rally, but it might be cheaper to buy the arcade cabinet.
I had a modded Saturn, and I got rid of it. Just gave it to someone because I was chucking loads of stuff out, and I was like, it went to a good home, and like I'm happy, but it was probably should have.
Well, it's fine. I would have called the police had you not got rid of it, Sean. To be honest with you,
it's not a naughty one. It's just had a region mod on it. It wasn't a.
Okay,
I don't feel. I
that's all you used it for.
Never tried to play any pirated games on it, because I don't have any.
Stand down. It's just a region one. Stand down. Sorry, I was just talking to SWAT. Sure. SWAT.
31,249 games of Freeze I've played. Wasn't invited on that Canaan Rinse.
Do you know why, Dave? Do you know why? Because I saw your live stream and they're like, no. You know your big 10K live stream or whatever it was. You fucked it.
What's the worst diss I've ever had? I would say one holiday I went. You get like certain hotels, they have an entertainer by the pool and he turns up at 11 o'clock every day and he plays like pool games with the kids, but also gets the dads involved and they're running up and down the pool and they're racing and all that sort of stuff. This
sounds awful. I've never witnessed anything like this.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never seen this stuff?
No, and it sounds like I would hate it.
No, it's fine. You just let them get on with it. The kids have fun and whatever, and you're just like laying your whatever. That didn't bother me until this one guy decided to point me out to everyone every day at the same time, calling me Mr. Bean. So that was all I was doing was walking.
Mr. Bean.
I wasn't part of the thing. He just went, "Hey, everyone, Mr. Bean," and pointed at me. Everyone around the pool laughed. Right, and I thought, okay, that's a bit embarrassing. And then, that evening there would be a few comments about like I'm going to get my meal at the hotel, and they'll be going, "Oh, look, it's Mr. Bean," and I'll go, "Yeah, cheers, mate, please." All right, thanks. And then the next morning, same thing, big loudspeaker, "Hey, Mr. Bean is here." We went to the beach the next few days at that time because absolutely that was the biggest diss I've ever had, I think. Either that or someone telling me my voice was high pitched. Can't remember who that was, but
that was me last week.
When that was mentioned, that was really upsetting.
Could be anyone.
What about you, Sean?
The point that I was making, Dave, was that your voice is higher pitched than mine, and at no point had I gone, Dave's voice is unnaturally high pitched.
I'm joking. I wasn't even that upset about it. It was a little gag, Sean.
Yeah, clearly.
You wasn't even that upset about it, which means you were a bit upset about it.
Clearly not bothered. Clearly not bothered.
No, it's fine, Sean. It's fine. Let's get. What's your next? What's your biggest diss, mate?
My biggest diss was when there was something I was supposed to. Is some DIY thing I was meant to be doing in the house. I can't remember what it was. I kept putting it off, and New texted me saying, "Oh, have you done that thing yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't had a chance yet." And she replied, "Can we just get a man in to do it?" And I was like, "Well, one, sexist. Two." What am I?
What the fuck am I?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Can I just say, we had a tweet this week that said, "I can't walk past this advert without thinking of Matt Murray." And I looked at it, and it looks absolutely nothing like Matt. It was just a bald guy with a beard. That has to be up there somewhere, surely, Matt.
Oh, well, I get that a lot. I mean, back a couple of jobs ago, they were like, "Oh yeah, Michael, you look like Michael Fish." Like that's literally man with no hair.
Oh my god,
man with no hair.
that's just a bald old man.
I mean, that was before I had a beard, but you know.
Okay.
Michael Fish.
Is that why you grew the beard?
You know, white man with no hair, beard equals, you know, me and all the other fucks with the same kind of, you know.
I was going to say, I mean, I do
genes.
sympathise with people because it must be at a point now where we're genuinely difficult to tell apart. And I don't just mean me and you. I just like you say, there's fucking loads of people now who going bald, and it's just like, yeah, fuck
me,
it,
you,
shave it off,
Coldplay, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Come on, Matt. What's your biggest diss?
Actually, no. No one's ever dissed me, so that's my answer.
Oh, come off
but
it.
Sean, I mean, you're saying about a man. When I was at Legoland last week, I was looking around, and there's like, there's obviously loads of families, you know, men, women, kids, all sorts. And I'm like, there's loads of, you know, proper dads with, you know, they're, you know, big and tall and got tattoos and they
Why is that a proper dad? Where's
I look at them like they're like proper blokes, and there's me. I still feel like I'm fucking year 6 sometimes.
Well, I mean,
we should save this for the Patreon show, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, all I'll say is that, you know, we're 3 people that play video games throughout the week and then talk about it on a podcast. I think in terms of what is a stereotypical man, I think we're kind of like we shouldn't be surprised by this.
Yeah, but I don't.
We're not seen
like,
as blokey blokes.
I don't. Sometimes I don't feel like an adult man.
We just had an argument about the mechanics in a time loop video game. Matt, I think this shouldn't be a surprise to realise that we're not. We're not lads.
I would like to know what like these other dads and other like men at the, you know, at public places look at me and think, "What the fucking hell are you?" I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking when I was at Legoland, but I was like, it's interesting, isn't it? I still feel like I'm in year 7.
I know what you mean.
And these guys are big and tall, and look at me. It was a weird time. Then I went on the scary Halloween ride, and it all felt fine.
And you're like, see, I am tough.
Do you remember, Matt? You're talking about this, but do you remember when we went to Butlins as a family? And our wives took the kids back to the apartment so we could have an hour on the flumes alone.
I do, yeah. On the flumes.
This cannot be a surprise.
No, it
just
can't.
Just be happy. I'd rather be like this, to be honest with you. I love a bloody flume.
We need to go back, Dave. We fucking need to go back as a family to Butlins.
I'll bang up for it. I'll bang up for it, but you were just down the road the other week and you didn't bother seeing us. So I don't know where I sit with you at the moment.
We've got a holiday to do. Or Warwick Castle. Or Chester Zoo.
The thing to remember, Matt, is that's a bit of the old toxic masculinity at play, and just fucking bin it, mate. Fuck it. Don't matter.
Yeah. It's just interesting.
Don't need to be strong. We've got robots and computers now. It's fine.
Exactly. If you want to wear your armbands in the swimming pool, you wear them, mate.
Yeah, I think about a lot. Like, you know, I'm 38. What was my dad like at 38? You know, what was his dad like at 38? Like, it's so different now. It's so
but like,
no,
I need to call him that.
It's so different now. I mean, like, you know, I'm 38 and I'm here on a Monday night and I'm doing a podcast with my friends over the internet talking about video games. And like, obviously my dad wasn't doing that because the internet wasn't around. But it's just fascinating to see how much things have changed, how different things are.
Well, that's just it. It's like I know what you mean because there's that sense of like, oh, like, you know, all the stuff my dad can do and I'm shit at it, and you sort of, and then that sort of seeps into like, oh, am I not actually a grown up?
Yeah,
but it's like, yeah, you are. You're just a different kind of grown up now. Yeah, you're just creating your own version of what a grown up is now, and that's fine.
Yeah, but no, my
dad was this age. He was ignoring his kids. Right, we should we wrap this one up?
No,
breaking the cycle.
Go on.
The Hamburglar says, "What's your favourite hot meat sandwich?"
I mean, hot meat.
Given this is from the Hamburglar, does that mean we're including hamburgers in this?
Well, I mean, hot meat sandwich to me says burger.
It says burger,
but that's hot.
I think it could include burgers. Could it also include hot dogs?
Huh? Yeah, definitely.
No, absolutely not.
Heated up meat.
Yeah, I've gone off them. No, mine would be the croque monsieur. That would be mine.
Oh,
I think.
that was a good
You
one.
go to a good place that does a good cock monsieur. Is that it? It's basically a ham, mustard, and cheese sandwich, but it's good. Tastes good.
If you call it that, if you just say, "Can I have a ham, mustard, cheese sandwich?" Do they go like, "Say it, say the name"?
Yes,
we're not getting you one.
They spit in your face.
Say it with the accent.
What's it really
No,
called?
it's slightly different. It's slightly different than just. I think the cheese is on top rather than inside. But
Say that again.
but then we're talking about we're comparing it to bacon sandwich, which is always solid.
Oh, do you know? Did I ever tell you about the Christmas grilled cheese sandwich I had?
No, please do.
Yes.
My
only every week.
Yeah, I'm sick of it, frankly. But go on, one more time.
So yeah, last Christmas, just what's it?
Gave you my heart.
Yep.
Very next day.
I had a Christmas grilled cheese sandwich. So this was for how many COVID Christmases? It was just the one, isn't it?
We just had one COVID Christmas.
I genuinely cannot remember.
19 and 20?
There will be COVID.
No, it's 19.
Christmas.
Now, is it not 19 and 20 or just 20? Did it start in 20?
No, it's just 20.
No,
yeah, it started in
over
20.
It started March 2020.
Fucking hell, it feels like forever.
I know.
Okay, wow.
So, COVID Christmas, in a bid to make it a bit... Obviously, we had the stuff to make actual Christmas dinner, but I ordered... So there's a place in Manchester called Northern Soul. It's a grilled cheese sandwich place, and they were doing make it at home kits, and they do a Christmas one, and it's fucking stunning. So basically, grilled cheese sandwich, just with a big slice of turkey, bit of gravy, bit of cranberry sauce, all in it, and it was absolutely. I mean, I ate about half of it. I thought I was going to die, but it was incredible.
I absolutely love a grilled cheese. So good.
It's great. When I discovered that a grilled cheese sandwich is just a cheese sandwich but with the butter on the outside and you heat it in a pan for a bit. I think I always assumed a grilled cheese sandwich had to be like really fucking bad for you. But it doesn't really.
I met at university told me about it. I think it was Robbie Paul. Robbie. Wow, like what a revelation that was. Like,
man.
Let's go, Robbie, all night. Let's go grilled cheese.
Like obviously, obviously it's very easy to put a lot more butter on than you would a normal sandwich.
Fuck yeah!
But if you can control yourself, it's not even that bad for you, really.
We had a Breville maker. Do you remember them?
I do.
So it was basically a George Foreman grill, but for cheese sandwiches, and specifically for cheese sandwiches. So growing up, we used to have a Breville all the time. I would put the Breville on. That was like a common phrase.
Cheese and ham toasty.
So I remember we used to have this wicked cafe next to where we played Little League as a kid, right? Mm-hmm. So finish my game of football. You always go to the cafe, and usually, you get something, either the sweets or you go to the cafe bit. They used to have like a tuck shop bit with loads of sweets or whatever, or you go and, go to the cafe bit. So I went to the cafe bit, I looked over and it said Breville, and I was like, I'm having that. Fucking one bang up for one of those right now. So I said, can I have the Breville, please? And pointed it, and I went, yeah, all right. So they walked back, and I waited, and I'm waiting. I'm thinking, they take a while, but this is time. What's going on here? And then, they said, okay, £2 or whatever it was. It probably weren't that expensive. I gave them the money, and then they put a little styrofoam cup in front of me. And being a kid, you just go, okay, thank you. You don't go, what the fuck is this? You just go, thank. Walk off, and I took the lid off and realised that it didn't say Breville at all. It said Bovril. So I just had a cup of gravy. I was so expecting a lovely cheese toasty and had a cup of gravy.
Nightmare
Brilliant.
Scenario.
I've never understood. Never understood Bovril.
The person behind the thing must have gone, he means that. Because that doesn't say Breville. So I had a lovely
still have at least one cheese toasty a month.
Yeah? Smash them.
Yeah. We got a toasty maker. Big fan.
Oh, mate, just grilled cheese sandwich just in the frying pan, mate.
Yeah, but they're very different. They're very different.
Yeah,
kind of end goals, aren't they? But I fucking love it. Cheese toasty with some,
this isn't right. Okay.
Cheese toasty was some good cheese, some pastrami beef.
Okay, I'm putting my foot down now.
Pastrami, bit of salt and pepper.
No, come on, that's
a little
enough
bit
now. Matt, do the socials. This is ridiculous. I just realised that Matt
I know, but I'm enjoying myself. And
toasted cheese sandwich with good cheese, Right, okay, let's get to socials, Matt. Let's get
give
this
that a
one done.
recipe. Is that Bell's Kitchen over
They
it?
don't need to hear it.
Good cheese, all right? And by
Put it
that I
in the
mean
notes.
Cathedral
What cheese
City.
do you go with, Matt?
As mature as you can get.
I was going to say, just mature cheddar usually, does the job, doesn't it?
Don't check out my search history. Right, socials. So yeah, we're
Don't
not
know what that
streaming.
bit was added in there for, but go on, let's go.
We're not streaming, but we will be soon at some point. But
Yeah,
there's no
that's a
streams
fact.
this week. There are, for those of you listening, there are loads of kind of games things happening this week, but they're all kind of happening around bedtime, and we're all dads. And don't mean our bedtime, I mean our children. So we're not going to need talk overs this week, as much as we'd love to, but all like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and so no talk overs for the big Gamescom things. But I'm sure we'll find time to watch them, but no streams, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean you can't watch our old streams on our YouTube channel. Or if you really want support, you can go to twitch.tv/TCGSco, find us in the app. And if you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming. You get 1 through 7 month. We'd love it if you went over to our channel, even though we're not streaming, and give us your free subscription. We really appreciate that. But also on Fridays, Dark Calls is being rerun. I think we're up to episode 5 now. And every Friday morning until 2022, there's the old episodes of Dark Calls being rerun. Find the Dark Calls feed on any of your podcast services. It's all there. It's not on this feed. It's on a new Dark Calls feed. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. We did our bonus talks over for this month. Came out early come on the weekend. And there's a bunch of tiers over there. And tcgs.co is the website for everything else. Plus a link to our gorgeous Discord. That's it.
Don't you usually end it with for everything else?
Well, I just talked about the website.
Okay. Thank you so much for living it this week. We will catch you next week with some more video game chat with Sarah Dyers coming back.
Yeah, man.
So looking forward to that one
again.
And yep.
Oh, fuck. I presume
We'll see you next week.
Bet Sarah's buzzing now.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait to come
nice
on
one,
the
Matt.
show.
Well done.
well, she mugged me off last time. I just thought we agreed that wasn't going to be. I thought she was scrapped from the list. I didn't.
I mean, to be fair, you threatened to remove her from the Discord as well. So
I think I might do now.
it swings around about.
I didn't realise she was going to come back. This is embarrassing. Egg on my face. Am I right?
See you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.